It wasn't the fucking Muslims dancing on rooftops, which he claimed, by the way, falsely. That was just me. I was doing a fucking Zumba class. I've talked about this so many times, okay? He was the motherfucker dancing on the rooftop. I'm fucking so down for that.
Community and make middle ground with us.
I was chosen to read the following prompt. White Americans have way more advantages than Black Americans.
I think I'm a rarity here.
It would seem so.
Do white Americans have more advantages because they're white, or do just white Americans have advantages because of historic factors? I think that people want to argue at the end of the day over whether it's because you're white or not. I think that the answer is because you're white in the past, and that's how it kind of carries over to today. You know, even in times of the United States.
For the record, before people freak the fuck out, guys, Destiny, the GNOME that is in front of your fucking screens, okay, has a metric ton of fucked up takes, specifically as it pertains to race issues, yada, yada, yada. None of that matters when he is performing in a contrarian manner against Black conservatives. Everyone in his audience will understand this. Most of his haters who have seen any of his content will understand this as well. I'm sure he's going to still have some weird takes defending certain aspects, but he is so incredibly fucking like geared towards being contrarian. So yes, no matter what, he will abso-fucking-lutely most likely rip the Black conservatives a new asshole in a way that many of you will probably agree with, and maybe in some ways that he won't, regardless of what you know about his background or what you know about his own perspective. The worst aspect of this, for me in particular, or for many of you that enjoy my content, is that anytime he gains like a level of prominence off of something, he will inevitably use that to be like, also fuck Hasan. Let's cut millions of videos about how shitty he is. But no matter what happens, I'm going to obviously be objective about his performance here, which I assume is going to be ripping a new asshole into most of these dudes.
History where Black people have tried to build wealth, you know, with the Tulsa riots and everything, yes. Where, yeah, that this wealth has been destroyed. And something that's upsetting to me is when conservatives talk about how we can't blame the past for what's happening in the present. That is true to some extent, but then the next breath they'll talk about how important it is to have dual-parent households, how important it is to have a strong family, to have responsibility passed on from parent to child. And we've seen in the past that because of racial issues, that process has been severely disrupted.
The funny thing is that agreeing with all these things is when I did my research when I was younger, which arrived me to my standpoint of being a conservative, because I believed it was racist, Democrat, liberal ideologies and policies dating all the way back to the 1800s, all the way up to the 1960s, and then the purported big switch. But I think it was more so when Democrats decided to be a bit more cloak and dagger about their true opinions of Black people and be more...
Yeah, and wait, what are Republicans doing in that situation then? I love this take. I love his take. Now, there's two ways that this could go. He could be a Clarence Thomas style Black conservative who's like, everyone's racist across the board. I'm going to get mine. And conservatives allow me to get mine, and at least they spit on my face directly. Whereas like white people are just as racist as like white liberals are just as racist as white conservatives. They just like will you know, soft pedal it and find more aesthetically appropriate ways of criticizing me, a Black man. Now, I quite literally talked about this in the earlier subject that we were covering. One of the very famous ways that white liberals in particular engage in like super racist commentary is by pointing to the exact same structures of oppression that exist in every community, including white communities, of course, as a singular thing that Black men engage in. I like to call it the root.com style academic criteria, which is when people will be like, yeah, Black men are horrifically aggressive towards gay people or trans people or Black women. And that in and of itself is, of course, a phenomena that exists in every community, but singling out Black people and then making it seem as though it's a issue specifically with Black men or a part of Black culture in and of itself is just a more appropriate way, a more civil way for the same kind of white supremacist attitudes and sentiments to be expressed by liberals as well as racist white people on the Republican side of the spectrum. It's just still stereotyping. It's just done in a more like liberal way. All right. So now that we talked about that, let's continue.
Secretive and more, oh, we want to help you by, doing these things and seeing them as
Doing
inferior.
what things?
Affirmative action, welfare, all sorts.
Is he wearing a Hunter Biden hat? I love that. Okay, I like this guy immediately.
So
of
wait,
things that
welfare.
eventually
So
ruin our culture and place us where we are now.
So
but I want to get back to the history of it because we're talking
well, I just
about,
want to make sure we're clear. Giving them money hurt them, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes, giving them, because if your father's out of the home, that's when we give you the money. If you're living in this
so
housing,
then give them the money while the dad's
rent-free,
well, then
that's
give
how
them
you
the
get
money
more of
while
the
the dad's in the home.
If you're working
So
this
give
amount of
them the-
hours and getting less than this amount
That's such a good response. Holy shit. So he's like, okay, give him money while the dad's in the home.
of
You're
dollars,
throwing-
you're getting money
you're
from the
throwing
government.
the
Yes,
baby-
it is incentivizing.
you're throwing the baby out with the
it is-
bathwater.
I don't even know what that means in this scenario because yes.
You're
okay, you
throwing
want to talk about throwing baby?
Dude, he is getting, dude, oh my God, this is fucked up. This is racist. You can't have a black teenager on to get fucking eviscerated by a bunch of white people like this. That's racist, man. Jubilee. We're 2 minutes in, and this kid is getting fucking eviscerated. That is so messed up. This is a hate crime, I think. It's messed up. Jubilee's racist. I'll say it.
Baby is out with
let
the
me break this
bathwater.
down for
Margaret
you.
Sanger wanted to exterminate the black
I mean, if anything, is child abuse, okay? 100%.
race because she thought they were weeds. So yeah, we can literally talk about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That's what Margaret Sanger, that's what Democrat policies wanted to do.
What is he doing? He's doing the talking points. He went, Biden hat is in the chat. Oh, it's Alec Gunter. Oh, shit. I remember you. Who's that handsome guy in the red shirt and the Hunter Biden hat? Thanks for saying you like me. I'm in the Frankie shirt. Hello, that's me, man. Ree. Oh, yeah. Nice. Okay, well, you fucked up. You're racist, by the way. You can't be destroying him that quickly. You literally had one ready in the fucking chamber, dog. What is happening? Dial it back a little bit. Anyway, having said that, immediately, as soon as he got like overwhelmed with such a simple fact, which is, is welfare ruining single family parents or creating single family homes in the black community? There's two avenues you can go to, which is one, why is it not ruining white families then? Or why is there a higher percentage of welfare recipients in the black community versus the white community? If that's the case, maybe there's some systemic reasons as to why that is happening. Or the alternative, which Alec did, is much better, in my opinion, which is, okay, well, then why won't we just give money to parents in general and not only single family households?
To my people. So that's why I feel so strongly about it, because it is these policies that date back centuries that were built off of the death and poverty of my people.
Let's take a breath. So,
I'm breathing.
okay.
So a lot of babies aren't, but I am,
Okay.
sadly.
A lot of babies are.
When I say throw the baby out with the bathwater, you want to completely get rid of welfare, okay? Or at least I don't want to put that on you, you haven't said that, but the conservative apparatus does, clearly. So giving money to a group of people does not hurt them.
I mean,
It
sure, if
can't.
you're talking about a lottery,
It
just,
literally
take
can't.
money. But
Yes.
there are strings
Take money.
attached to that money.
Take all the
there
money.
are strings attached
Give
to
them
that
millions. Make them all millionaires. I don't care. Giving money to black people does not hurt them.
And that has
thinking
not
that-
happened, though. That has not happened.
What do you mean?
That has not happened. It hasn't been a
You're saying
reparations. It hasn't been this
so
or that.
what
It has
you're
been a
saying,
welfare program,
welfare
Great
was
Societies
designed.
Act, that
Welfare
was
was
built off of the idea of, hey, we get these families split up, we get these
So
people
then let
living
them
here.
keep the family together and keep all the money.
I mean,
There you go.
I guess
Boom,
so,
done.
but I guarantee you,
I guess
there's
so.
no way that
Why
would
would you
happen.
not advocate for that?
So in your, I guess, research and history of
He's just, dude, that's such a good way to fucking destroy him right out of the gate. Oh my God. Like, at that moment, when you can't concede, you're doing it purely because you're debating, and you can't, like, this is why debates are fucking bullshit for the most part. He can't concede because that's weakness. That's losing the debate. But, like, of course, that is the most reasonable thing to say in that situation. If you care about black people as a black person, doesn't matter if you're fucking black conservative or not, you can't literally sit there and be like, no, you're fucking wrong. It would be bad. Actually, now here's the thing. Here's the thing. The black conservative that has at least read enough Thomas Sowell, okay, would have a better retort, which would be to relegate back to the classic conservative tropes of, well, actually welfare across the board, not just for black people, but everyone is making them lazy, right? Welfare is making everybody lazy. What about opportunities? Or what about, fucking welfare stopping motivation dead in its tracks? Stuff like that. Now, I'm sure Alec, being a 26-month HasanAbi head, already knows exactly what the retort to that is as well. But at least you're continuing the conversation without conceding.
This country and everything. Do you find like the Reconstruction era and like the failures of like what it wanted to be and then what it ended up being, and then which led into had downstream effects to enter into the Jim Crow era? And
bro, there ain't no way. There are 2 motherfuckers with One Piece posters on this. There ain't no fucking way. 2? What's happening?
You have policies like redlining that influence, how schools are funded. The downstream effects of slavery, do you think put black people as generally in a worse off position than white Americans?
I think generation by generation, the effects of slavery have been diluted, but generation by generation, the effects of racism, welfare-based policies, and things of that nature became even more great. So in the 1880s or so, when we had our first black members of Congress, which were indeed Republicans, I think that was a great start for things. But obviously, we had terrible things that happened, like the Tulsa massacre, among black people being chased out of their homes by the KKK.
Sure.
All funded by the Democrat Party, all supported by the Democrat Party.
Well, I mean, I need to stop you.
Dude, I love this. I love this. He's like, the only time black people were fucked over in this country was when it was the Dixiecrats doing. It's like, bro, who fucking cares what party they're a part of? They're white supremacists, dumbass. Like, yeah, okay, they were in the fucking Democratic Party. This is where liberalism and like defending liberalism or defending the Democratic Party inevitably falls inevitably fall short of what is necessary. It's like, yeah, sure. Yeah, they were fucking racist. Like, what do you mean? Fine. I agree with that. We're not fucking playing in a team. Like, I'm not a part of that fucking team, dog. I'm not trying to defend this team. You know what I mean? It's so incredibly stupid when people are just like, yeah, the Democrats did this in, 1800s. And it's like, okay. Even if you don't believe that there was a party switch, okay, or the Southern strategy is fake, let's say, who it has a Confederate flag bumper sticker on their truck when they're going over to drive and vote for a fucking Republican. It's Republicans. It's not fucking Democrats that are doing that shit. Like, Republican politicians right now in present day American society are unironically defending the rights of Confederate generals and the right to be celebrated as though that's a right, even though it's not a right. Okay? Like, what the fuck? It makes no sense. You have to be literally a fucking idiot. Like, you have to be a complete fucking moron to be like, yeah, no, I think Democrats are still, they're still funding the Klan. It's like, okay, well, why are the fucking Klansmen running on the Republican Party ticket? There was a literal fucking Nazi in Illinois that, like, won a quarter of the vote. Like an actual Nazi, like out and about. I'm saying, like, he was a part of the American Nazi Party. And he ran in Illinois for the Republican seat. And he won 25% of the fucking vote, dog. The fuck do you mean? Why is he not running on the Democratic Party ticket then?
Be there. Can you attribute not to the party, but to the ideology? Because I think when you think, regardless of whatever the party switch was, traditionally conservative values did not, like, that's more aligned with, the
preservation of slavery.
More racist policies in this country.
It's very difficult
like,
to compare 2020's conservatism to 1880s conservatism.
Wait, I don't get it. Like, was Abraham Lincoln conservative or not? Explain that to me. Like, okay, Abraham Lincoln, Republican Party. Is he conservative? Why is it the charter saying that they want to fucking abolish chattel slavery in the South and wage slavery in the North? Like, what's happening there? Like, do you think Abraham Lincoln was the conservative operating, like, was he operating with the conservative principle, okay? And, like, the Confederates were the ones who were actually operating with the progressive principles in comparison to, like, that back then. Like, what does this take? Oh, God, it makes me so mad. Okay.
Oh, I was loving the 1v4.
So personally, I feel like there's really only one thing that white people have a true advantage over black people with, and it's that white people are less likely to be forced into a box. It happens with black people onto other black people, but it especially happens with...
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I wonder why. Wait, hold on. Wait. I feel like this guy is going to deny systemic racism, right? Because he's a conservative. But like what he just described is one of the literal symptoms of systemic racism. If you are a part of a marginalized group, yes, you are boxed in to stereotypes that are negative, stereotypes that often justify your conditions of oppression. That's, extrapolate that over hundreds of years, and you literally arrive at the material foundation for systemic racism. Thank you. That's great. Thank you for the PragerU lesson, PragerU guy that is just simply there as like a normal black conservative.
With white liberals onto black conservatives, where we are told that we are supposed to think a certain way, be a certain way, and if we're not, then we're called all these names like etc. And the worst of all is bootlicker, because I hate when a white liberal tells me as a black man that I'm a bootlicker, because then I ask, whose boot am I licking? Because you're telling me as a white person that me as a black person...
What do you mean? You are licking the boots of white supremacy. Yeah. What's the point? What? Bro, I'm sorry. This is why I do end up triggering a lot of like way more conscious people on Twitter, especially whenever I talk about black conservatives, because they think I'm like reigniting white supremacist aspects to like dunk on like a black guy. And it's like a go ahead or something. It's not. I don't give a fuck what people say. If you are a conservative, doesn't matter if you're black, okay? If you're a conservative, you can't fucking turn around and do identity politics. You're like, you're a white man. You're a white man calling me, a black guy, a bootlicker. Slavery much? It's like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. You're not a fucking 18-year-old college freshman who's exploring different sexual options in college and is like only now coming to understand the world. You can't talk like that. You're not allowed. You're a conservative. Be a fucking man. Be a fucking conservative. You understand me? You cannot do that. I hate when these motherfuckers on the conservative camp literally turn around and they're just like, oh, little old me. I'm over here justifying white supremacy as a black man, and you're denying me of my autonomy as a black man. It's called Bodies in Spaces, sweaty. Look it up. Like, shut the fuck up. Shut up. The fuck are you saying? There's no bodies in spaces here. You are an agent of white supremacy. Who gives a fuck? Oh my God, that is so fucking annoying. And then other dumb motherfuckers do actually go along with that, for the record, and that breaks my fucking brain. Nothing breaks my brain as hard as that shit. That guy has 6 cop friends, and I called him a bootlicker, but they clipped it out. They cut out the part where he says he has 6 cop friends, and in response, I pointed that out to him, and he said they are 6 very clean sets of boot right now. Oh, wow, that's crazy. I love the other part of this where it's like black conservatives love being like, the only racism is when people say that I'm like, an agent of white supremacy, but in a like more embellished way. No one is giving anybody the go-ahead to, like, call you the N-word or something, okay? That's unacceptable. Or variants of that. That's unacceptable. Bootlicker, on the other hand, is not, like, historically anti-black, which is a perfectly valid way to roll you, because that's precisely what you're doing. Alec gets really cringe later on in this video, by the way. Okay, well, he's one of you, so you probably reacted that way because you would probably react in a similar fashion.
And that I'm licking your boot because I don't think in this box that you want me to frame my mentality in.
Yes!
That to me is real racism. And that's what we—
Dude, I'm sorry. It's so monolithic, dude. Oh my God. Black conservatism has one purpose. Black conservatism has one purpose. At least Clarence Thomas is, like, kind of interesting. Black conservatism has one purpose, and that is to uphold white supremacy, because there is no other purpose for a black person in the eyes of the conservative sphere to, like, they don't want to use you for anything. Liberals do this too, by the way. They did this with, like, fucking Bernie Sanders, where they're like, Bernie Sanders won't talk about prison reform, won't talk about criminal justice reform. Does he not care about black people? And he was like, what are you talking about? Like, one, I have talked about that, and two, like universal healthcare access helps black people disproportionately due to need. That's how it works. Universal healthcare helps everybody, okay? Especially black people. This is fucking so stupid. It's not only talking about fucking the prison reform or criminal justice reform that impacts black people. It's a silly way. It is a silly way to reframe the issue. So that is actually, in a way, unironically, very fucking, it's a little bit of liberal racism. Oh, I'm mad they deny me on this episode. Wait. Sean was trying to be a black conservative? What? Sean appearing in whiteface as a white liberal. Or doing conservative face. Also whiteface. I played it up so much too. No way.
We need to stop allowing to happen to us, because black people are so quick now to not branch out and to have new ways of thinking, or to go into careers like agriculture and these other career paths that black people don't typically get into. It's not because of racism stopping them from getting in there. It's because we're told for so long that you have to follow this path and you have to think a certain way.
I think.
Wait, what? Bro, did he say black people were not cast out from participating in agriculture? Are you fucking nuts? Wait, what? That's like the worst one you could pick. And no, I'm not doing like a slavery joke or something. That would be incredibly out of touch and probably racist. I'm talking very specifically, black people were forced out of farming. Okay? In the abolition of slavery, the only time black people were able to participate in agricultural output was literally around sharecropping and not having, not unironically owning land. 40 acres and a fucking mule were a promise given to freed slaves that was not followed on. The only reparations that were given in the United States of America, literally was given to white farmers or white landowners who owned slaves. It was a payment of restitution for the slaves that were forcibly freed. That's so wild, especially because black farmers call for justice from the USDA. This happened recently. And literally, Steven Crowder made fun of the black farmers. Like, there is a racial gap in the agricultural industry. And when the USDA was like, we got to do something about this, we have to offer some kind of help to black farmers. We have to create programs that engage black people with agricultural production. And Steven Crowder was like, oh yeah, what are they going to farm? Hennessy? I remember that. He's permanently fucking scarred in my mind. So And he didn't do that voice, by the way. He did the fucking Chris Tucker voice because that's the only voice he has for black people. From Barack Obama to Morgan Freeman, anytime Steven Crowder tries to do the black voice, it's Chris Tucker. Me and Sean trying to sneak into this episode. Let's continue.
I think America is a great place for a black person. I think I'm an American. Anything that's available to you is available to me and mine.
I've personally never experienced white people having way more privileges than me. Like, I'm sure you could find certain institutions where black people are treated differently, but in general, I don't think that I've missed out on anything because of being black. And if anything, it's given me more of a voice because people will want to hear what I say now because I'm black. So if anything, I have more of a platform now just on the basis of being a black conservative and saying what's not popular than I would if I was just a white person who was also conservative.
Wait, you can't do that. No, you just admitted it. What? You just gave the game away. Yeah. No, she literally recognizes. She's like, yeah, if I was some random white chick, like, you know, there's plenty of them out there, but like if I become the token, then like I get way more options, like way more opportunity. That's so funny. Why does she admit that? At least she's like open about it, I guess. There's like weirdly enough, there's like a clarity there, you know? She just straight up said it. I have more of a platform. Niche individual media careers have solved racism. Dude, that is literally the conservative affirmative action. Okay? Conservatives are like, I hate affirmative action. And then they're like, we need to elevate some black people because, you know, we need to hear a black person's perspective defending white supremacy. Affirmative action is in and of itself not a fucking issue. Unless you are shitting on affirmative action as a black person, then we'll elevate you to a position of power. Immediately. On the virtue of the color of your skin, like identically to the way that conservatives portray affirmative action as, even though that's incorrect. Anyway. After being timed out, I realized the error in my ways. My take was problematic without context, and I'm sorry for derailing the stream again. It's all good, Mariah. You were timed out for 30 minutes, and there's so much that you can say in this issue. This is also another entirely... What is this? Totally not racist at all? Oh, God. Brother, I don't think you understand. I'm racist, okay? I'm both simultaneously racist and also literally am a white savior who will never, ever in a million years admit if a black person has done something wrong. I'm both of those things at the same time. I've already made my peace with this, okay? You can't come in here and clip something and be like, dude, fucking got him, boys. Because literally every single person that would agree with you, especially on Black Twitter, already has made up their minds that I'm a white supremacist. So who gives a fuck?
Decision to end affirmative action.
I think I'm not going to start. Someone else can start. Sorry.
I think affirmative action has served its purpose. I think that it was necessary for a particular time. And I think that every black person knows how to get into college. I mean, you could pull out the names, the Oprah, President Obama. You can pull out the head of Time Warner was black man, the Forbes was black man. We know what to do now. We don't need
What the fuck? What? What's happening?
affirmative action anymore. And to me, affirmative action is offensive sometimes, especially nowadays, because I have 6 children and 2 boys, 4 girls. And all of them went to Harvard and Columbia and this one and that one. And it breaks my heart to think that they accomplished that.
Yeah, wait, what? That's like, yeah, how do you not understand that like conservatives are lying? Wait. That's so dumb. That's so dumb. Lady, your children deserve to go to those fucking schools. Are you stupid? How did you not understand that your very own children deserve to go to those schools and you're like, and everybody thinks that like they deserve to go to those schools only because of affirmative action. It's like, yeah, no shit. That happened during affirmative action, which means if you personally believe that your children deserve to go to Harvard, you can't be anti-affirmative action. What the fuck? This makes no sense. That's so stupid. Unless she literally is about to say, like, my kids are fucking dumbasses. Like, they literally took a white person's spot or some shit.
Goal of getting into these institutions just because of the color of their skin.
I can definitely say that it creates a lot of tension when you have affirmative action. I remember my first week at the university.
No, you fucking idiot. The tension is not affirmative action. The tension is white supremacy. Okay? That's it. That's the tension. What is wrong with these people? They're literally like, oh, no, it's the one fucking Band-Aid that, like, liberals were able to live with for, like, you know, a shelf life, of course, that allowed, like, just a tiny marginal leg up for certain people that were plucked from unique backgrounds in order to create a more diverse learning environment, which is good for everybody involved. That part actually is fucking not that part is the problem, not the white supremacy that reinforces the dynamic that black people are not worthy of being in that position. Oh my God, dude. Yeah, it's definitely not white supremacy. It's the affirmative action that made people racist, my man, for sure. Maybe he has to live with that. Maybe he has to fucking believe that internally, because, like, otherwise he has to recognize that, like, every single person that's propped him up in his career in the conservative media ecosystem is a racist piece of shit.
University of Illinois. I was sitting with some classmates, and
guys, these guys aren't racist. Like, Dennis Prager, not racist. It's just the systems that have caused them to behave this way.
A white student turned to me and jokingly like, hey, Xavier, like, did you just attach a smiley face when you applied for this college? And I started asking what he meant, and he said to me that he was like, you're black, I'm assuming you had decent grades. You could have just attached a smiley face and you would have gotten into the university. So I was livid by that, and I went off.
Again, okay, Xavier doing the same thing that the black lady did earlier, which is, once again, don't hyper-focus on the individual act of racism that Xavier, a microaggression that Xavier had to go through. Maybe more than a microaggression. Focus on the underlying point that he's making. He's like, I deserve to go to this college because I worked really hard, okay? And then people think I got here due to affirmative action. That idea, that you have to have enough processing power, okay, to recognize that in that very moment, you're like, wait, I didn't get here because of affirmative action. I got here because I worked fucking hard. Hold on. Maybe that is the case for every single person, and that the conservative media is greatly overgeneralizing and hyping up the impact that affirmative action has had in an effort to cut white supremacist propaganda, but not directly by saying we should segregate schools. No, it's probably not that. Thank you for the fucking $100,000 a year job, Dennis Prager. Like, you can't be a black person who's like, oh, dude, what the fuck? Like, I hate affirmative action. And simultaneously be like, I deserve to be in this college. You know what I mean? Like, which one is it? Is affirmative action actually not a program that directly is like plucking unworthy black people in the way that fucking conservatives claim it is? Or did you deserve to be there? Do you think that in the absence of affirmative action, that racist white people are not going to find a new and unique and creative way to be racist to you? That's another take as well that I have to ask. It's like whenever people say, like, porn is the reason why women get, like, hurt so much. It's like, yeah, dude, in a pre-porn universe, like, famously, women had a really good time. Like, no domestic violence whatsoever. It's definitely porn that did that. Thank you. Like, it's not patriarchy. It's one random fucking thing that is your pet project. Got it.
I started naming all of my accomplishments, and I felt so confident only for about an hour, because then an hour later I started saying to myself, like, wow, like, did I actually earn my way in here? I started to have this insecurity, and I started wondering to myself,
there's no way this fucking gnome isn't sitting across from this dude like white knuckling it right now, because he's saying such dumb shit. Even if he fucking agrees with him that affirmative action is like, even if he agrees right now that Supreme Court decision to end affirmative action, in that, like, he did the fucking thing where he's like, yeah, I agree with this actually. even in that moment, because he's making such bad arguments, you know his ass is like probably sitting there going, I want to fucking debate him because he's so stupid. But that's a stupid ass argument. He's making a stupid argument.
Did I earn this position myself, or did my ancestors' suffering earn this for me?
And too, I've seen it in the sense of like affirmative action taking away from other people who are minorities. Like I had a friend who was Asian and he in high school and he really wanted to go to MIT. That was his dream school. He interned there. He was super like prepared to go there and he didn't get in. And you can only assume that it was because of affirmative action because they have such a large Asian population that they want to admit other people.
Yeah, I was going to actually argue that it's more racist nowadays because it excludes so many Asian Americans from getting into universities who do deserve a spot and they can't get in because of affirmative action, which again, like you were saying, was necessary at the time. Yeah. But now it's like anybody, if you have...
My controversial opinion on this matter is that it's good that the Supreme Court actually ended affirmative action only because colleges are still going to do the same exact measurements that they have. Okay? They're still going to do the same shit because they want a diverse learning environment. That is literally the fucking point. That is the entire point of like leaving your dumbass cousin fucking podunk town or your dumbass Martha's Vineyard ass rich ass fucking neighborhood, okay, to go to goddamn college. They don't want Harvard to be exclusively white people, okay? Because even if you are going to become a war criminal later down the line, as many Harvard education recipients do become, okay, you still need to learn about that shit in an environment that is diverse where you can at least like, you know, work around black people without like blurting out the most racist shit possible, because that is what America is. America is a very diverse country, one of the most diverse nations on the planet, as a matter of fact. So it don't fucking matter. You need to get a level of DEI, and colleges know that. And that's precisely the reason why they're like, yeah, shut the fuck up. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, you took down affirmative action. We're still going to have, and I'm willing to bet that they're still going to have similar fucking percentages where they have a holistic approach to their admissions process, which is completely reasonable, and that they are going to find either other ways, maybe a class-based affirmative action, or, which would be great, by the way, totally desirable, or just the same exact fucking metrics that they have for admissions, which end up creating identical demographic identical demographics in the applicant process, in the applicants that were accepted in the college. That's it. That's it. Because the reality is affirmative action is not a fucking like literal solution to racism. It was never that. If anything, it's like it's a mechanism so that like people who want to churn out white supremacist capitalist systemic violence can learn in an environment that's diverse enough so they can do it better. Okay, that's it. These are liberal institutions, man. Come on. Like Ted Cruz went to fucking Harvard. What the fuck are we talking about?
The skills to do it and you're in America, you can get in.
I don't think affirmative action is the worst thing, considering all the different types or aspects of a background you might take into account when somebody's getting into college, whether they were in certain clubs, you know, Boy Scouts, what type of classes they took that might not be available to everybody. I don't think that factoring in the affirmative action is necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like because of everything you guys have said, the optics behind it are so horrible today that even if it is slightly beneficial in the long run for certain people, I think we can probably refocus most of that into...
God, I hate liberals so much. Oh my God. Dude. First of all, he basically just said what I said jokingly. Okay, but the difference is he's serious about it and he's willing to say affirmative action should be ended. Okay? But it's fucking frustrating. Because it's like, who gives a fuck? If it's just simply an optics situation, then yeah, you should, I don't know, fix it by doing a decent amount of propaganda in that direction. But nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to work anymore, except for conservatives. They will work really fucking hard to fix the optics of like unimaginably bad positions. That's why the conversation around abortion is about protecting life. Can you imagine? Like, it's literally a medical process that Republicans have decided is like, nah, that's actually life. they don't even give a fuck about it. If it was literally murder, they wouldn't care and make ectopic pregnancy provisions, or they wouldn't make provisions or exceptions for rape or incest, and some don't. But most do. Why? If it's murder, you fucking piece of shit. Why are you fucking sitting there and being like, well, some murder is fine? Why? Why are they doing that? Because they recognize that it's bullshit. Because it's propaganda. Because they know that the optics don't matter. If you scream more and more and more about a particular thing, you can change enough people's minds. And even if you don't change their minds, it doesn't fucking matter. You can still absolutely control the narrative and get your bidding done through the state legislatures and the court system.
Figuring out like the class that people come from, the neighborhoods, the backgrounds or whatever, without it having to necessarily target race. The only thing that I kind of wonder now that it's gone is, instead of a black person being in school thinking like, man, am I here because I'm an affirmative action pick, is it going to be a kid that is poor or a kid that's from a different zip code?
I think we should do away with all of it. It's just like, submit an application, no demographics. Why do they ask your sexuality? Like, why do they ask all that stuff?
What do you mean? Bro, how do people still not understand this? Like, talk to a singular admissions person, please, dude. It's not like colleges are hiding the truth. Like, they literally are like, dog, we have a holistic admissions process because we obviously care about grades and shit. But more importantly, the people, the legacy admissions that we do truly care about, we want to make sure that they're learning in a diverse environment. We want to make sure George W. Bush's son is going to get in no matter what, okay? Papa Bush, he's going to buy the wing of a library. He's at Yale. Doesn't matter how fucking stupid he is. We want to make sure that that stupid idiot is at least learning in a more diverse environment so he can become president one day, okay? That's it. That's the main point. And also, on top of that, we get liberal brownie points to be like, look at this. Look how great we are. Look how woke we are. But ultimately, it's a good thing because it benefits everybody. You pluck a couple people from different backgrounds that, due to financial hangups and systemic racism, may or may not have been able to be in the selections process on paper, because on paper they still have great grades, because it's not like, black kids with like who are getting Fs all year round are being like put into Harvard instead of a guy who's an A+, college student who's white, and they're like, fuck you, white kid, like, fucking, you're not getting in, or like, oh, fuck you, Asian kid who studied really hard, we're gonna get this fucking dumbass black kid here. Like, that's not how it works. That's just like, that's made up. And that's precisely why the black conservatives on that fucking panel are like, my children worked really hard to get to the position that they got to, and they literally didn't even fucking, everyone said they got there because of affirmative action. That's why we need to end it. It's like, yeah, you just admitted that it's fucking bullshit. You just admitted as a black conservative that the conservative line on affirmative action is bullshit. Okay? Anyway, let's keep going.
So, if affirmative action accomplished its purpose, why do we still see the disparities that we do in the professional workplace? If you average white wealth and compare it to black wealth totals, white people as a whole have about 50 times greater wealth than black people as a whole per capita. So I just don't understand why you think affirmative action has accomplished its purpose. I don't see that.
Curious, why do you assume that just because there is a disparity means it's because of a racial issue?
What else would it be from?
I mean,
upbringing, economic abilities,
desire to
skills.
go, desire to.
I mean,
So
zip
it
code
was their
does
fault
play a
then.
lot. If you grow up in a neighborhood that experiences a lot of trauma, you're not as likely to do as well in school. Which, if you curious, why?
There ain't no fucking way. Dude, black conservatives defend conservatism without being like inherently racist challenge, impossible difficulty. Because it is literally impossible. Like they just sat there and literally went, yeah, it's because we have a different culture that's like inferior. That's a wild thing to say. What are you saying? Like, we just culturally are inferior and don't have any desire for success. Like, that's an insane thing to say. You're a black person. Why are you saying that? Like, any white person that says that, I think, okay, here's what I think, okay? I think black conservatives are so permanently one note because, like, the entire purpose in the eyes of, like, conservatives and the conservative movement as a whole is to, like, fill that racial gap and be like, you're the black face on white supremacy now. You're going to say the same shit because you believe the same shit that I believe, right? But it's, like, way better. It's way better that you say it because then other people feel less racist about saying it, right? Clandis Owens. They're so fucking one note that they forget that there are people around them that are going to go, hold up, what are you saying right now? Did you just say that, like, there is a racial component to, like, there's a cultural inferiority across the board on the entire black race? Like, what? Like, that's if a white person says that, you know, you're conditioned into understanding, like, oh, that's just like a guy being racist.
Just don't understand why you think affirmative action has accomplished its purpose. I don't see
Curious.
that.
Why do you assume that just because there is a disparity means it's because of a racial issue?
What else would it be from?
I mean,
upbringing, economic abilities,
Desire to
skills.
go, desire to...
I mean,
So
zip
it
code
was their
does
fault
play
then.
a lot. If you grow up in a neighborhood that experiences a lot of trauma, you're not as likely to do as well in school, which means you're...
Why did they grow up in a
Okay, that's great. Oh, Alec, good job. Holy
neighborhood
shit.
that experiences a lot of trauma?
I mean, lots of people do.
Yes,
live in
but
a-
why specifically do more black people?
Government assistance programs.
Government assistance programs, like what?
Try redlining.
I mean, you can go into that if you'd like to, but let's take
It
a
is
look
relevant.
at the Great Societies Act, which was
Wait. Bro, come on, dude. Come on. You're not going to fucking do the Ben Shapiro line on redlining, right? Like, financial institutions were perfectly valid in not giving black people loans because they think that black people are, what, culturally inferior and can't fucking pay their loans? Is that what you're going to say? That's the Ben Shapiro justification for redlining, by the way. It's like a bank is supposed to give money to people that they think are going to pay for it. And it's like, yeah, well, that's the point. Like, the banks did that, and that's racist. Anyway.
created to kick black fathers out of the home and get black mothers on welfare assistance. These things aren't beneficial for economics. These things aren't beneficial for actually paving a way for success for black children and black families. I mean, reducing a two-family household to a one-family household isn't going to make them the richest man in the world. It isn't even going to get them out of high school. Nonetheless, the ability to even get to college.
You mean
Yeah,
two-parent?
the child, yes, but a two-parent household
Yeah.
in comparison to a one-parent household, that child.
Bro, I love this take, man. It's like you're recognizing that there are, it's such cope. It's such fucking incredible cope from black conservatives to be like, yeah, it's actually the systems that are at fault, certainly, because you can't say that, like, openly. You can't openly be like, yeah, black people are inferior, because everyone's going to say you're fucking Jesse Lee Peterson if you say that as a black conservative. So you're like, yeah, the systems are at fault, actually, but, like, the systems are at fault for giving welfare to everyone, but it just, like, somehow hurt black communities more. And it's a hilarious cope to claim that systemic moves can impact the black community in this negative way, but not the criminal justice system. Like, how can you fucking sit there and be like, welfare ruined black families and that is a systemic problem that impacted the black community, and not recognize that the criminal justice system has done infinitely worse? Like, how? Like, how? You can't just fucking say, no, it's not racial inferiority. Oh, come on now. It's actually the systems, but it's the welfare. Why does everyone assume that two-parent households are awesome? What if they're both shitty people? That's such a funny thing to say, Neurotic Toast. No, it's just there is plenty of empirical evidence to show that, yes, two-parent households have better results in child rearing and development. It's just a fact. It doesn't matter if they're two dads, two moms, doesn't matter. It's mostly a concept that revolves around disposable income. That is the major component, and also free time that a parent may have to engage in child development. It's not like the traditional ways that, like, conservatives try to describe it. And And clearly welfare is laughably low and not enough. I'm a single full-time dad, so I'm a little biased. Yeah, my point doesn't actually contradict yours. My point is that it's money. It's literally money. It's money and free time. If you have more income and more free time because you have two parents instead of one in the house, then you have better results for child development. That's it. That's literally it. It's as simple as that. And it's pretty funny that like people try to make this into a racial thing, or a racial thing without factoring in the criminal justice system, which is like, I wonder what's worse on the black community having only one father or only one parent, one mother in the home. I wonder if there's like some other underlying thing that has, I don't know, played a pretty significant role. I don't know. It's probably the welfare thing, I assume. Why do these people think bullying people out of poverty works? It hasn't and never will. Because their job is to say that.
Child is not going to be nearly as successful. That child is more disposed to being sent into prison by doing crimes or not doing very well in school. So how are they even supposed to get that, that wealth disparity shrunk if they aren't even able to get out of the community that is causing these problems for them?
Something I think that this conversation illustrates is that like affirmative action is literally the very end of the line of a lot of different parts of a person's life. And by that point, trying to rectify all of the inequities that have existed, to try to remedy any of that at the very end with affirmative action, it might just be too broad a brush. And maybe
that's correct. That is correct. That's why I always say affirmative action is a Band-Aid solution. He's right. He's not wrong. Okay? He might be the most biased demon on the fucking planet when it comes to issues that pertain to me, or whatever flavor of the month has like pissed him off personally. So now like every person from that marginalized background is now a villain, and he will do anything and everything to be like incredibly fucking annoying about it. But he's right about this. He's correct. Affirmative action is a Band-Aid solution. Why? Because there is a metric ton of other shit that goes wrong before you even get to that position of elevation where you can like finally go to fucking college. That's it. It's fair, but that doesn't mean you have to remove it because of optics. Yeah, no, the major reason why I don't like removing affirmative action is it's twofold. One, there are no legal protections for discrimination when that happens, or at least like it's one other aspect in the way of like implementing further legal discriminations. Okay, so that's number one. You're chipping away at it slowly but surely. That's what Republicans do, and they're just now feeling more. They're feeling more confident than ever to do so. Two, it has a really shitty, like, I guess, not spiritual effect, but it's basically just like telling black people to listen, like, we gave you this fucking Band-Aid, right? We bullied you with this Band-Aid to make it seem like any black person that has risen to a position of power was put there, was plucked and placed there when they didn't deserve it. And then now we're taking the fucking Band-Aid away. Fuck you. And like, what does that do? That galvanizes white supremacist perspectives in society. And it tells black people, like, double fuck you. We've been fucking you, and now here's another one, okay? Fuck you and fuck you. Here's two of my friends. They came along for the ride. And it's like, that sucks. So I do recognize that, like I said, affirmative action, Band-Aid solution, clearly, like, material restitution needs to happen. There are way bigger scars that impact the black and brown communities, impact poor communities in general. But like, sometimes it's fine to have a fucking Band-Aid, guys. You know what I mean? It's okay. You don't have to sit there and defend it like it's the most significant thing on the planet, which many people don't even do. Okay? But like, it's okay to have a Band-Aid from time to time. You know what I mean? It's okay to at least like have the federal government be like, yeah, fuck these racist pieces of shit. Yeah, we are going to actually help marginalized communities a little bit. It's the least we can do. What? Oh my God! Please stop. Why are there so many fucking both sides Andes in here? Please just listen, man. If you're like a fan of mine and also Destiny, just shut the fuck up for the duration of this, okay? I don't give a fuck about your perspective. I genuinely don't care. Suck my dick. Okay? Shut the fuck up.
Maybe we'd be better served focusing on the earlier issues than trying to...
I don't know what level of fucking brain rot y'all, some of you dumb motherfuckers are on, but like, you know, just shut the fuck up, please.
Throw a kid who maybe, you know, can barely read at a 6th grade level into a college to hope that that's the thing that fixes the problem at the end of the line.
I think affirmative action wasn't really supposed to like send kids to Harvard that weren't prepared to go to Harvard. I think that's quite a myth, in fact. I think those that have the qualities to get...
Someone should have asked a parent or the prager you, dude. Do you think you're a recipient of affirmative action? Is that how you got into a school that you got into?
To Harvard were, before affirmative action, were just completely overlooked. You know, Clarence Thomas is like the perfect example, you know, regardless of what you think about him. He was able to get to Harvard because of affirmative action, because, you know, it focused on finding people that were, you know, again, like just overlooked for those.
But things in...
Oh shit! Nope, that's not. You're not supposed to say that. What the fuck, bro? He did not just, as the white liberal, be like, Clarence Thomas only got to Harvard because he's black. That's crazy. Like, what the fuck? I mean, it's funny to see. It's funny to see this because, like, honestly, get mad at me all you fucking want, but it's kind of funny to see him say that as the white liberal, okay, in that panel, because now you have this weird moment for all the black conservatives to be like, wait, what did you just say? No, I think he's trying to say Clarence deserves it, even though he obviously didn't. No, he worked really fucking hard. Like, Clarence Thomas, the only stupid thing that Clarence Thomas did was after he went to college. If you know his background, he was dumb enough to believe Thomas Sowell. That's it. And when you get fucking red-pilled by Thomas Sowell, you are the dumbest motherfucker on the planet, okay? But academically speaking, especially coming from his background, like, he deserves to be at fucking Harvard for sure. As the rest of the fucking freaks that get to Harvard and go there and live their fucking freak desires, you know? I mean, my man loves bestiality, dude. You can't. That's so Harvard. It's not even funny, you know? When you're out there talking about horse porn or whatever your favorite horse porn is, like, you definitely deserve to be out there with the rest of the fucking freaks. Oh my God, how is it that every time I talk about Clarence Thomas, there's so many new people that are like, what the fuck is going on? Do you guys also know that at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break? And if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, where you get 1 free Prime subscription a month. Use it on your favorite podcaster. Hopefully that's me. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky. He said, bro, I ain't even heard of the dude. Clarence Thomas? Supreme Court Justice of the United States, Clarence Thomas. Okay. Let me try it again. Harlan Crow's best friend, Clarence Thomas. Harlan Crow's sugar baby, Clarence Thomas. XR3, thank you for the 5 get the subs. I'm better with faces, not names. Anyway, he's a Supreme Court Justice. All right, let's keep going.
It ended up changing. It morphed into something else. So what started out as a good program of giving all black people or people with a lesser chance or lesser opportunity, it started out as that, and then it morphed.
Wait, what?
And I'm not sure who morphed it, but it morphed into, okay, so now we have to have one black, one.
Wait, what? Wait, dude, I'm telling you, he just crossed their wires, bro. He crossed them up. He crossed them up by being like, Clarence Thomas is a recipient of affirmative action. And now she's like glitching. She's like, actually, it was good at first when he was there. and then it's no longer good. To which your response should be, okay, what about your 5 kids? Now, that optically is not a great thing to say, especially if you say it like, well, your kids are affirmative action recipients. The more careful and delicate way of covering this would be, I think your kids deserve to go to Harvard. Why are you undermining their accomplishments? Or if you recognize that they deserve to go to Harvard, then you understand that affirmative action is not just simply elevating black kids from black kids who are not worthy of going to Harvard to get to Harvard.
One Hispanic, one this, one that.
That's not how that works.
But hey, talk to the corporations, talk to the people who hire, talk to the board members who say we need to have a woman on the board, we need to have a black on the board, we need to have a Latina, a Latinx, whatever on the board. So it morphed from helping us into now
tokenization.
Yes.
Bro, there ain't no fucking way this dingus, sitting in the worst way I've ever seen, by the way, anyone said, is going to sit there and fucking agree with these arguments. There's no fucking way. There ain't no way. These are the worst arguments of all time.
So you have to have one of this, one of that.
Well, when you start with a country where people only hire you if you're white, that's necessary. And I know that you said that it started good and then ended whatever. And I don't think that affirmative action was perfect by any measure, but we still see really, really bad inequality. So if you're going to get rid of affirmative action, what's the replacement?
Meritocracy.
Is people need to
There's no meritocracy.
Oh, God, meritocracy, a laughable concept. Get the fuck out of here.
In this country. You look at Elon.
Bro, that's how you know capitalism is America's fucking religion, dude. Real religion. Straight up. And straight up, no matter what, black, white, at a certain point when that fucking penetrates your brain, like the American capitalist brain rot seeps in and you believe that dogma, you're like, meritocracy, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Sure.
Musk, he's destroying Twitter. There's no merit.
It's not even just Elon Musk. How can you say there's any meritocracy in a structure where black people have literally been enslaved and no economic restitutions have been made? And this conversation in and of itself is one where we are denying all of that and refusing to even like and justifying the one fucking Band-Aid that we gave to black people that wasn't all that significant at all, and celebrating that we took that away. How can you say that there's any meritocracy? Equality of opportunity has never existed in this country. It's never existed anywhere around the world, let's be real. But it hasn't even existed in this country. It's so stupid. Meritocracy fails when the starting lines are 10 miles apart? Yeah.
Meritocracy. That's ridiculous.
Well, first thing I want to bounce back to is it's not a myth that there are like minorities that are being put into colleges that they're not ready for. If you look at a lot of these top universities, including Harvard, Yale, etc., you're going to see a lot of minorities on academic probation because they are being placed in universities that they are not ready for. They are not cut out for that just yet.
That's awesome. Bro, this guy is just a racist. Holy fuck. He said black people are just not ready for Harvard. Dude, I have 2 takes on this. 1, this is irrelevant to the main point of contention here. Anytime you see like a fucking normie ass looking white guy with a shit ton of tattoos, imagine them without tattoos, okay? Also, I forgot to run the ad break again. I'm going to run it now. 2, okay? Remember that. Adam Levine or whatever, imagine him without tattoos. He just looks mid, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, anytime you fucking see a black conservative just say some out-of-pocket shit, just think for a moment how you would feel if a white person said it. Because their job there is literally to repeat an incredibly racist, incredibly white supremacist take, but because they're black, you're not immediately conditioned to be like, what the fuck did you just say? Okay? There is 0% chance, dude, you are like a monster if you legitimately are like, man, those blacks, they just don't fucking know. They don't know what Harvard's like. They're not ready for it. Like, that's crazy. You're a crazy person. What the fuck are you saying? Like, this is the type of shit that like Steven Crowder says. You know what I mean?
And it even just makes sense if you look at how...
So what he said was not true? Oh my God, bro. Of course he's not fucking telling the truth. How are you a 10-month subscriber? What the fuck is happening? Dude, come on. Dude, come on, dude. Especially not for fucking Ivy Leagues, you fucking dingus, you dumb donkey, you fucking idiot. Ivy Leagues are hard to get into and incredibly easy to get out of. It's literally a gentleman's C is the agreement in fucking Ivy Leagues, you stupid fucking idiot. Fuck! It's literally, the reason why Ivy Leagues are so fucking hard to get into is like, because once you get there, very hard for you to fuck up after that, because now you have access to like the wealthiest people on the planet, okay? It's not the things that you're learning. The education is not top notch or anything. It's that you quite literally have now access, personal access to some of the wealthiest people and their children, okay? So you will always get a fucking job. And in order to maintain Harvard's incredible, you know, it's incredible aesthetics of like being the beacon of intelligentsia, everybody that gets into Harvard, while it's really difficult to get into Harvard, will usually at the very least get a C. You're not being fucking placed in academic probation. It's bullshit. If you are, it's probably for some really fucked up reasons. Remember, I would say that those resources succeed or aren't always known. One of my buddies went to an Ivy League school and said the grade inflation is crazy. It's harder to fail a class at Harvard than it is to pass with flying colors. Yes. Yes, because guess what, dude? You think fucking the wealthiest people and their fucking dumbass, drug-addicted, failed children are actually fucking brilliant? No. It's established that they're going to go to a position of power no matter what, okay? Due to intergenerational wealth. So therefore, if you are able to get into fucking Harvard, then, you know, you and the rest of the fucking dumbasses are all at the very least getting C's, okay? At the very least. Because how the fuck can you justify how successful they got after college? You know what I mean? Yes, Harvard has a 4% dropout rate when the national average is closer to 24. If you were to look at it, that 4% dropout rate probably comes from economic circumstances too, like medical debt or some shit, like a death in the family. 50% of all the grades at Ivy's are an A. Princeton has an average GPA of 3.45. You think these guys are getting those grades because they're fucking brilliant? Legacy admissions certainly aren't. How the fuck is everybody getting such incredible grades, dude? How the fuck's that happening? Oh, wait. It's because if you go there, you're going to get a job regardless, okay? You're going to get a job regardless, so it doesn't fucking matter what your grades are. Because all of that is a lie. And that's why they want to fucking hold on to it as best as they can and try to sneak in as many people as they possibly can. They're like, oh, no, fuck affirmative action, blah, blah, blah. Everyone, my child deserves to go to Harvard. Colin Jobs got his first job ever, was SNL after Harvard, and he got married to ScarJo. You know his ass is just a genius. Yeah, that's true. Well, he's not the best person to use in this example because it's like he didn't get married to ScarJo because he wasn't a genius. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's continue.
How much they have to achieve in order to get there. Asian students on average have to score 450 points higher than a black student in order to get in the same university. So if you think of the universities that have courses, etc.,
that's crazy. I didn't realize it was, dude, I love these fucking arguments, man. I didn't fucking realize that like your college entrance examination scores was the only reason as to why you're getting into fucking colleges. That's crazy. I had no fucking idea, dude. That's wild. It's so frustrating to make this example because it's like a student who self-identifies as Asian will need 140 SAT points higher than whites. And 320 SAT points higher than Hispanics and 450 SAT points higher than African Americans, right? One, it's a 2009 study, but it doesn't matter because even in 2009, the study is fucking stupid because the SAT scores are not the only reason as to why people are getting into these colleges, okay? That's it. Standardized tests are bullshit and cultural bias. No, I'm not even saying that. No, fuck that. I mean, there are some cultural biases, but that's some lib shit, okay? No, the real reason, the real answer is standardized tests are bullshit, and they do not show how great of a student someone can be, especially when we already know that it doesn't matter. It's more about getting into the fucking college. It's not necessarily, especially when you go to an Ivy. Oh. Okay. The value that you get from going to an Ivy League school or one of these top educational institutions is not that you're getting the best education. Anyone who tells you that is fucking lying to you. It's who is in your social circle, okay? When you are automatically placed in a freshman class and sitting next to you is some fucking Arab sheik's grandson, and on your right is like some goddamn billionaire hedge fund owner's grandson or child, okay? All of a sudden, look to your left, look to your right. It's impossible for you to fucking fail after college. The networking opportunities are insane, okay? That's it. Let's keep going.
That grade on a curve, you can only have so many people with an A, so many people with a B, etc. So that means that the bottom percentile is going to fail. Who is most likely, just based on logic, going to be the ones failing? It's going to be the people who didn't have the credentials.
Yeah, this is silly as fuck.
To get there in the first place, and then I have to bounce back to.
I want to get you on that point, because I would posit that the people who are least likely to have good outcomes in an academic setting are those who have to work 2 jobs, are those who have to drive there from home because they can't afford a dorm, are those who have to go into crippling financial debt. These are and have other stresses in their life. They can't afford a doctor, they can't afford a dentist, they can't afford anything.
I had to do that too, though.
Those are the
That's
people.
not just black people. It's not just.
But it's
If we're looking at
overwhelmingly.
straight numbers, there are more white people in poverty than black.
White liberals who be like, oh man, well, white people suffer like that too, gross me out. It's like, yeah, we know it's a class-based problem. Like, shut the fuck up, please. Like, we're talking statistics here, okay? Like, we're talking averages. We're talking like, you know, who is more likely to be in a dire economic circumstance, okay? White lady, can you please just like not fucking chime in one time? Jesus Christ.
Black people.
If you look at the raw numbers, but if you
I don't know,
actually
what are the
understand
wrong
what you're talking
numbers?
about.
No
The
number
issue
is
is poverty
wrong.
in general, though. I don't think it's like who's in poverty. It's like poverty sucks.
Maybe
It
we
shouldn't
should make
matter
college
who's in it.
free, and maybe we want to have
If you have a
affirmative action
program-
wouldn't be that necessary.
And it'll get even more ghetto.
If you have a program that says if you are under a certain income,
Who said that?
Maybe we want to have affirmative action wouldn't be that necessary.
And it'll get even more ghetto.
Who the fuck said that?
Have affirmative action wouldn't be that necessary.
And it'll get even more ghetto.
In a different timeline, he's writing for The Root and talking about how fucking homophobic black men are. This is the avenue that he found himself in, so he has to portray himself a certain way. That's it. This dude is just like a chameleon, okay? A charlatan. 100%. And like things, if things were like, I don't know, like 3% different in his life, he would literally be writing, like he'd be talking about the incredible, the violent, and misogynistic and homophobic black men. Just, you know, which is like, again, as I mentioned, just a different way of churning out similar white supremacist talking points, but in a matter that is more acceptable to liberals. You know what I mean? He'd be doing that instead of this.
if you have a program that says if you are under a certain income level, this is how we'll help you, that will overwhelmingly help black people at a far greater percentage than it will help white people.
Trump supports Black lives.
I mean, I would fucking, dude, what? I would say yes to that. First step back, baby. Donald Trump, dude, Donald Trump, dude, he was great to black people. He loves black people.
I think that President Trump supports all lives. I think that he looks at all American citizens as equal. I don't see him doing anything that would make you feel like he does not support black lives. That's, of course.
I think a lot of people fail to understand why Donald Trump, despite being like openly fucking racist at every step, was able to reach a larger percentage of the black vote, and more black people voted for him than any other president prior. And not only that, but also that change is still currently happening. Like, you could say, oh, we went from like 2% to 8%. That's not that big, right? I'm not even kidding. Like, that's not a real number. No, wait, what? That's not fake. I said any other Republican. Yeah. Wait, did I not say that? Yeah, that's a given, guys, okay? We're talking 90% voting for the Democratic Party, okay? No, I mean a higher percentage of black people voted for Donald Trump than any other prior Republican. Of course, I'm talking about in comparison to every other Republican president. Sorry, clearly. And not only that, but also, you did say Republican? Oh, okay. But regardless, I think there are reasons for that go beyond, like, not because Donald Trump was like good to black people or in general, but I think it's mostly the same principle that we have discussed before with respect to a decision that black people made between Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. It's like, the idea is that, you know, everyone's fucking racist, and it's true. Everyone is. So it's more so about, like, is this racist more entertaining? Did he do some good things? Are there other external factors that played into your consideration, like vaccination campaigns, shit like that, or being like more open about it? Part of the reason why he was able to captivate a lot of people is the same as how he captivated white people. It's beyond just racism. It's just, he's telegenic.
Of course, going to lead into the conversation of Black Lives Matter, which was a movement and an organization with so much corruption. Donald Trump not supporting that organization doesn't mean that he doesn't support black lives. It just means that he doesn't support the fraudulent organization that's stealing so much money from so many people to do absolutely nothing with it, nor does he support a destructive movement that is destroying cities, communities, lives, etc. So I don't see why someone would think that President Trump doesn't support black lives.
I've heard him say he knows all the best black people. He has all the best black friends. I do support black people all the time. So, sorry, that was...
Bro, you can't do that in public, Alec. What the fuck? Come on, dog. What the fuck? Bro, you can't... This dude definitely watches it. Yeah, he is. He's in here right now. He has been a community member for a very long time. We've like talked to him or about him in the past. I think he's a nurse, if I'm not mistaken. I might be getting that wrong. Listen, it was a swing and miss. Yeah, they kept that shit in there, okay? So bad.
It's a very bad impression, but I don't think Donald Trump wants bad things to happen to black people. So in that respect, I think he does support black lives, but the other side of that is he's not really doing anything. He didn't do anything as president, certainly, to uplift black people.
The economy affects black people.
Yeah, I certainly disagree with that point. One of the biggest things I
What does he do for the
supported
economy?
personally, well, yeah, We'll get into that one later. One of the biggest things he did is
Wait,
he secured permanent funding for HBCUs, one of the largest increases we ever saw for HBCUs, personally done by his administration, among many other things. The First Step Act, which, you know, there's a lot of debate about whether it was really the best thing to do, but that was definitely a kiss of love to the black race. Freeing Alice Johnson for menial drug crimes she committed in the past that had her locked up. She did not get to see her family for years.
Yeah, but that's not like, okay, I did say I agree, but I agree in the sense that Donald Trump doesn't literally want bad things to happen to black people, like I think a lot of conservatives do. So I think that he just says the most, yeah, I do think that. I think he says the things that will get him elected. So I don't think that he has any personal grudges against certain, you know, most people.
I don't even agree with that. I think that he's just as racist as every other fucking person from his background would be. Like, because he literally, I mean, he was investigated for housing discrimination. You know what I mean? Like, he's definitely not a good dude. He's definitely racist, but like, he's default a mirror racist. Exactly. And then the Central Park 5 shit, obviously, you know what I mean? Like, he definitely has a bunch of shit. He's a wealthy boomer, of course, he's racist. Yeah, that's the point. Like, yeah, he was a racist liberal. Yeah, he used to be racist in a liberal way before, in a way that like conservatives would shit on him for, most likely. Anyway. What you mean? The hood loves Donnie Reels, Little Pimp? No, first of all, okay, I'm not going to do the Zenny Jardine, homie, what set you from bullshit. But like, yeah, no, Donald Trump was a permanent fixture in a lot of black culture. I've talked about this quite a lot. Not because of fucking Little Pump. In the 80s, 90s, in the early 2000s especially, Donald Trump absolutely was considered a relatively iconic figure that was mentioned in a shit ton of rap music. I think a lot of people don't remember that for some reason, and a big part of why Donald Trump was actually seen as like not as horrifying of a figure by plenty of black and brown people was because of, I hate to admit this, but The Apprentice. The Apprentice was very unique for the time period that it was in. It was incredibly diverse. It was a very diverse TV show with a very diverse cast, and the actual marketing materials or the actual marketing sales sheets reflected that. The demographics were more diverse. The demographics of watchers of The Apprentice were much more of a diverse audience than other shows at the same time. No, I'm not talking about Mac Miller, Donald Trump, chat. Jesus Christ. I'm not talking about Mac Miller. I'm talking about black rappers, okay? I'm not talking about Mac Miller's Donald Trump song. But that was the reason why a massive audience, a massive diverse audience knew Trump and kind of liked him as a television man. That's important. That's important to recognize.
He just says the most popular thing. So I think like Ron DeSantis would be, Ron DeSantis would be somebody that I think actually wants black people to be hurt. So by that standard, yeah, Donald Trump supports Black lives by leaps and bounds.
You think Donald Trump says the most popular thing?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Then why do so many people hate him?
He got elected as president.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He didn't win the popular vote.
Whoa!
That's
whoa! Owned yourself though. You kind of owned yourself. You fucking lost the popular vote. Wait a minute. What? I don't fully agree with Alec here. Anyway, I don't know what trail of thought he had here. I'll be honest. Maybe not his best performance here, but it doesn't matter.
That's
liberal
what your
talking
side
point.
loves to say.
That's a liberal talking
I'm
point.
helping you here. I'm trying to see the logic in this. Obviously, he says things to be elected as a politician very similarly to how Joe Biden did, except Joe Biden actually has a history of racism.
If he said things that people...
Yeah, whereas Donald Trump don't. Like, get the fuck out of here, kid. Oh, my God. Okay, now I'm doing the debate brain. Bro, I'm sorry. You can't fucking be like, oh, Joe Biden is so racist, but like, and then act like Donald Trump isn't then, okay? I'm sorry. That's fucking ridiculous. Like, this is the only thing the First Step Act, which was literally a bipartisan crime bill, a prison reform bill, a criminal justice reform bill that, you know, Democrats wrote as well. Get the fuck out of here. And if it was a Democratic president that wanted to sign it, the Republicans would have vetoed it. Shut the fuck up. The only reason why it happened under a Republican president is because some of those bills only pass under Republican presidencies because Republicans are only obstructionists when a Democrat is president.
People didn't like, you wouldn't have been our president.
So you like everything that Donald Trump says? You think everything he says is popular?
I love a lot of the things he says. I think he's hilarious. When he said big water, that was one of my favorite quotes. Big water.
Water, big water, ocean water.
He has the funniest one-liners, so I love a lot of the things he says. As far as policy, he sucks, but...
I'm just shocked you're wearing a Hunter Biden hat. He likes a different kind of one line.
Oh, I know, conservatives love talking about his...
No, Coke. It's different. Coke, not...
Trump is less of the issue
Such
and
a
more so the
Hasan
people
Abi
that
head.
support
Holy
him
fuck.
like die hard. They facilitate that kind of like hate, I think, for a lot of people, not just black people, but like...
I mean, this man took out like a full page in a newspaper.
That kid is freshly 18, by the way. He's never voted in a presidential election. Yeah, that's like literal fucking grooming. This and like the other fucking little baby that was like portraying AOC or whatever is like unironic conservative grooming. Or they're just like, they just like get these like young little babies and be like, say the conservative things. And then weird freak nasty conservatives will love you.
They're calling for the public execution of 5 black kids. His hotels, all of his businesses have rampant history of denying black people apartments or whatever. So
I forgot about that. I should not have stepped forward.
Look, I mean, Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump. So I don't think he really cares about anyone, I guess, unless you're like super rich or whatever.
When you look at his history on racial issues, whether it's the shithole countries comment, the plethora of comments he made about Mexican people, just the comments he's made about Muslims, the idea that Trump cares at all about some particular racial minority, I think is a little bit silly. I think Trump will say whatever he needs to say to rile up his base and to get elected.
I don't necessarily think those statements come from a place of hatred. I don't think he was ever saying specifically, oh, if you pray 5 times a day towards...
Wait, I don't get it. Hold up. How can you say Mexicans are rapists in a non-hateful way? That's wild. How can you say black people come from shithole countries? Why can't we get immigration from good countries like Norway, but like say it in a not racist and not hateful way? You can't say that. God damn it, dude. What a fucking insane take.
The east or towards Mega based on wherever you are, you're a bad person. I think he was saying if you like to fly planes into towers or behead people or throw people off of buildings, maybe you're not the most virtuous person out there.
I supported Trump because
Yeah, bro. The problem is saying all Muslims want to do that. What the fuck is wrong? Okay, well, I can't really fault him. He is literally a kid. He's got a kid brain. I know it's identical to like what adult conservatives argue or how adult conservatives argue because adult conservatives also have kid brain. But he's like literally a baby, so maybe it's a little different. But yeah, overall it's like it's a wild thing to say. He's got to stomp out the kid brain now. Otherwise, he grows up.
He made the economy good, and so the economy.
Yeah, that's not even try. He said a complete and total shutdown of all Muslims. Yeah, it's so stupid. It's like, yeah, he just doesn't like people who fucking pray 5 times a day and then like fly planes into the Twin Towers. Which, by the way. No, he fucking doesn't have an issue with people who do that because look at his dealings with Saudi Arabia. Who the fuck flew the planes, idiot? Saudi fucking Arabia. And then, you know what else they did? The Saudi kingdom, under Mohammed bin Salman, fucking killed an American legal permanent resident. Maybe he was a bit of a CIA guy, but who cares? He was an American legal permanent resident. They chopped his ass up in a fucking in the Saudi consulate in fucking Turkey. There's video footage of it even, allegedly. Maybe the Turkish consulate is bugged. Who knows? The Saudi consulate in Turkey is bugged. Who knows? Okay. And then Donald Trump was like, yeah, of course I'm going to keep giving them money. Do you have $10 billion to purchase my money, to purchase my weapons? No. So if I don't sell it to them, Russia will. You think that fucking guy cares about 9/11? Get the fuck out of here. When 9/11 happened, he literally, I think it was the morning of, the next morning, he straight up went on a fucking talk show and said, well, it's really bad, but guess what? Now Trump Tower is the tallest tower in Wall Street. Silver linings. He said that. He fucking said that. You think he cares about 9/11? Fuck you. He doesn't even care about 9/11. It wasn't the fucking Muslims dancing on rooftops, which he claimed, by the way, falsely. That was just me. I was doing a fucking Zumba class. I've talked about this so many times, okay? He was the motherfucker dancing on the rooftop. Get the fuck out of here.
Economy then impacted black people, white people, Latino people. It impacted everybody. But Trump, he didn't think specific black people.
Oh my God, he said that 10 minutes after the final tower collapsed. Get the fuck out of here. I thought he said it the next morning or something. That's crazy, dude. He literally was dancing on the rooftop. Here. But I digress. Let's get back to it. This is a beefy ass video and we're only halfway through it.
He thought about himself and he thought about how can I make America great for me and making and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go with this guy, and the reason I'm gonna go with this guy is because if he can make America great for and he can make that it rise for everybody, I'm gonna benefit from that. So that's why I went, and that's why I voted for him. That's why I supported him.
How does that specifically benefit black people? Again, he's a businessman, but he's also a racist businessman, like well documented. So like I just
and Biden's not.
Yeah, see, this is why it's like, yeah, everybody's racist, but Trump is like sometimes extra racist. You know what I mean? But like Biden's racist too. Fuck Biden.
Biden's not.
Yes, he is. He created the crime bill. So that's regardless of the point.
Address the Central Park 5. That's what you brought up, right? How do you feel about that?
Well,
he took that full
actually,
page out after they were
so I haven't.
He wanted them to be killed.
Well,
executed just because they were black.
That story.
And he bars people from attending his businesses or like renting apartments from all his like stupid Trump towers. I
think Trump at that point was, like many people in this room, particularly liberals, a victim of the media. I think he was scared. I think he was ashamed of the things that he heard in the news and wanted to take action himself as a businessman, not as a racist.
Why are you infantilizing him?
I don't like
Bro, Trump was like 3 times this little fucking goober's age at that point when he said like those teenagers should be executed. What is he saying? Oh, Trump was a neurodivergent minor. You don't understand. He's a little baby. He didn't know any better. Like little baby Kaya. Except Kaya's not racist.
Real quick, because people keep bringing up this comparison to the '93 crime bill from Biden. That crime bill, this was at the height of like violent crime and the crack epidemic in the United States. The Congressional Black Caucus supported that crime bill. Everybody in the United States supported that crime bill. The idea that crime bill was like some racist piece of legislation that Biden was just wheeling out.
Yeah, you know who else the Congressional Black Caucus supported? Fucking Hillary Clinton over Barack Obama. That doesn't mean anything, okay? I hate that justification. The Congressional Black Caucus is a Democratic Party cutout. That's it. Like, they care about what the Democratic Party is saying and doing. They don't give a shit. That's not like a good representation, in my opinion, of the attitude at the time. And even then, saying, well, everybody fucking thought it was like a necessity is not exactly great. It is not exactly great when, like, we know the impact of the bill itself. You know what I mean? I guess if you're trying to justify it by saying like, oh, Joe Biden wasn't racist for the crime bill, it's like, well, he certainly was. I mean, Joe Biden has said a fuck ton of other racist shit as well. You know what I mean? Hey, that's a wire. That's an XLR cable. That's not edible. That's not edible. Oh, God. Stop flopping around like a fish. Heavy, you're going to break me. Why are you licking my arm? My little baby, my big baby. Wait, so does he believe prison helped the crack epidemic? He strikes me as a legalize all drugs kind of guy. Yeah, also the crack epidemic is a hilarious way to fucking frame this one, talking about how it's not racist. Lamau, the Congressional Black Caucus endorsed a white man over a black candidate is just some of the most right-wing Dems in the House. Frequently, Dems in super blue districts get tons of right-wing GOP donor money for the most conservative Democrat candidate. This is a well-known point from anyone who's a total fraud. Yeah, I mean, the Congressional Black Caucus is a representation of, like, you know, conservatism. That's it. Like, oh, fuck. Okay, hold on. Guys, oh, shit. Dang, you're hurting yourself. Stop wagging your tail while you're looking. She's looking back at me and wagging her tail like she's like, I know what I did over there. It was well deserved. Oh, here we're back. Okay. She's like, yeah, I fucked your shit up. It's all good. Yeah, you're set up. I don't give a fuck. You deserve it. Okay.
Because he hates black people, and that's somehow comparable to the Donald Trump's treatment of the Central Park Five that were already exonerated. That wasn't a victim of the media. The media said they were done. They were exonerated in court. They weren't there.
As I understand it, the prosecutor of the five, he was a black guy, and so in being a black guy, he went and he looked at all the evidence and said these guys are guilty.
Black people can also be racist against other black people.
Or just make mistakes.
So if anybody does anything you disagree with in regards to the Central Park Five, even if they themselves are a black person, then
I mean, they're cops. I like that. I like that. He's like, it's a simple mistake. A simple mistake that a cop engaged in, you know? It's just like whenever police brutality happens and it's like a black cop, I'm always thinking, oh, there goes another simple mistake situation.
Oh, they're just a self-loathing black person. They're just a racist black person.
If they disagree with me, they're racist.
That prosecutor was doing his job.
That's my policy.
What? You're oblivious to the hate you spread now, but in the future you will live in a mansion of regrets surrounded by melted wax figures of the fake people you love to suffocate with your own ego-driven ideas with a non-existent amount of compromise. Real humans value compromise rather than bigotry? What the fuck? It's pasta? What kind of fucking copy pasta is? First of all, I'm already living in a fucking giant mansion, I guess. I have to pee so fucking bad. It's a pasta that someone typed in here? Oh. Yeah, there's Sephiroth posting again. Classic.
If they disagree with me, they're racist.
I think Trump has shown a history of ignorant at best and racist at worst behavior. I didn't vote for him or Hillary because I just don't see him as a conservative hero. I don't even think he's a conservative.
Fake conservative. I voted Trump in 2016, just so you all know. So I'm just saying.
So I need you to elaborate on if people disagree with you, they're racist, just in general.
I was just kidding.
He's just, yeah.
You never know.
Just like
one
the
of those
hat.
kind of moments.
Sorry if I triggered you. I'm sorry.
You made a point. You made a point
Okay.
a couple of minutes back where you said he just kind of says these things to rile up his base. Why does he need to do that at the expense of black people then?
He doesn't do that at the. I am a member of his base, and I'm sitting there like, oh man, this is amazing. And I don't know, you can call me self-loathing, you can call me self-hating,
so you're saying calling for the
I'm
public execution of 5 black men that were exonerated to
when
rile
has he
up
done
his
that
base.
during the campaign trail? He didn't do that when he was a politician.
Well,
he did that when he was a scared businessman in New York.
It's
feeling
everything
bad.
Steve said about the comments about Muslims, the comments about Mexican immigrants. Why does
never
he
about Mexican immigrants, never about Muslims, about terrorists and about criminals and rapists. These are very important delineations to make. And if you believe that what you fed the media about, oh, it's all Mexican immigrants, I think it's more of you being, oh man, oh, these poor Mexicans, they need to be supported. It's more of that savior complex. Wow,
what was
we're
the
back
rationale
again.
behind axing or trying to axe DACA? Were these people were registered with the federal government, they were in school, they were doing everything that they needed to do. They had no home elsewhere. They were brought into this country as minors. Like, what's the explanation for
I
that?
think
Like,
that requires more nuance. Like I mentioned before, I
already
think there were some
paid for their
people.
education.
I think
Why
there
would
were
you
some
wanna care
people
about it?
feeding him bad policy advice, thinking, "Oh, this will be really good for your base," and he's doing a lot as a
Just
president.
that's
infantilizing
okay.
him.
That's okay if we feel that way. But
So,
at the end of the-
if I take responsibility for something, if I say he has responsibility for something, well then you're right. But if I'm saying, well, maybe there are some people around him advising him falsely,
Dude,
it's infantilizing.
He
him.
was the president.
There's no good way.
He
through this
called
for
the
him.
shots. What are you talking about?
The only path forward to solving illegal immigration starts with amnesty for everybody here. The reality is there's some 10 to 15 million illegal immigrants here. We're not deporting them all.
With the people who are already here, that's a lot more of a messy, nuanced conversation. But as far as people coming in, I do think we need stronger borders and actual like vetting happening.
And I just want to say, in Ronald Reagan's day, he was given the promise. He said, look, if you go ahead and you pass this particular bill, we'll give these people amnesty and we're done.
Yeah, I'm gonna play Valorant with a special guest later tonight. But trust me, even if you don't like Valorant, you will want to see this. Okay. Yes, that's right. It's Donald Trump.
Done. And it didn't happen. We didn't, illegal immigration continued even after Reagan already said we will give these people amnesty. So that's why we get a burr up our butt, because he had already done it.
Hopefully the devil's giving him amnesty.
True.
That's terrible.
No, that's base. Thank you.
Tasteless.
Wow.
Ninth circle, baby.
Wow. Wow. Tasteless. Bro, you're 18. Like, have fun with your fucking life, man. What the hell is going on?
My political beliefs have changed from the past.
Tasteless.
I grew up in a conservative household, actually, in Ohio. And my parents were always pretty political, so I always stayed political. I was very religious as a teenager.
Typical.
Sometime during college and then afterwards, especially during COVID, my sister actually indoctrinated me into a more leftist position. And
shouts out to Alex's sister. Yo, who else indoctrinated you, man? Huh? Who else? A lot of people love saying, okay? A lot of people love saying, like, Hasan, you're actually horrible for the fucking leftist movement. You're actually really bad for the leftist movement. There are so many people like Alec in this community for one particular reason, okay? And that's because I serve the top of the hour ad break at the top of every hour, and it's right on time, okay? Right on the fucking dot. And if you no longer want to see those fucking ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, where you get one free Prime subscription a month. Fuck! People are always like, Hasan only talks to an audience of people who believe him. And it's like, no. I did have an opportunity to speak to a much broader audience back in the day and change their minds. That's been effectively shut out by fucking cringe lord, dumbass libtards, radlibs, and psychotic fucking communities online that have been hunting me, viciously cyber stalking me. And even then, we still have the impact. We still have the capacity to fucking change people's minds here, regardless of all the fucking fake baggage that people have hung on me. If I started as a pretty normie liberal, but due to you and my wife on full socials now, you made space extremely easy to enter for normies. Yeah. It's crazy that, like, so many people actively have played a role in shutting off a broader audience from, like, legitimately understanding what I have to say, or even coming to me in a charitable way. It's genuinely frustrating. I will never forgive them, but I also know that you know, they are, all those people are just like permanently fucking stuck in their own echo chambers, and they're sad, pathetic fucking losers. So whatever. I used to hate you, and now I've been here for I don't know how many months. What? 58 months, bro. What do you mean you used to hate me? That was so long ago. That was a different you, dog. That was a different world. there are still people that are right-leaning or right-wing that come in here and have the capacity to change their minds, and that's good. It does suck that that impact is definitely limited.
I overcorrected a little bit. I started becoming pretty cringy as far as like, sit down and let the minorities all talk, right? Don't say anything, don't speak over them, etc. They would, it was like the whole you can't speak over Candace Owens even if she's literally a Nazi kind of thing. So I stand by that. So yeah, I kind of leveled out thankfully, and I'm less cringe now.
Did you? Are you?
I cringed.
Yeah. This is leveled out. Imagine if we would have been here a year ago.
I mean, maybe I am being cringe. Who cares?
So I grew up conservative, but I did have more left-leaning ideas about like Black Lives Matter and critical race theory.
It's great, man. Hey, good job winning over this fucking group, Destiny. You did it. So dumb.
And I was watching a lot of YouTube, and I did agree that Black people were oppressed and all of these different things, and that we were kind of got the short end of the stick. And during 2020, when there was everything crazy was happening, and I started organizing rallies against the mandates because I thought that they were just totally.
Oh, there it is. Bro, there it is, dude. Oh, God, 2020 broke so many people's brains, some for the better and many for the worse. Oh, my Lord.
Totally unconstitutional and un-American. And then
I saw you at Spaghetti Factory in San Diego in 2019, and I didn't like you back then. Now I'm a 9-month subscriber. You know what's funny about that? First of all, that's awesome. I love that. I was there at Spaghetti Factory in San Diego in 2019. That's true, literally, with a massive group of individuals because it was TwitchCon. Now, what's hilarious is that there are probably people like this that are in my orbit when I'm existing out in the real world, and not a single one of these motherfuckers actually come up and ever say anything, which I'm glad you didn't, Chicken Adobo, because, I probably would not have reacted all too positively, okay? But it's so funny that, but that is the reality, is that people who are like, I fucking hate this guy, and I'm willing to bet you probably said some unhinged shit, which, by the way, no issues there. It's fine. You're here for 9 months. I love that. It's like even if you have like hatred in your heart for me, due to whatever echo chamber is telling you that I'm like a piece of shit, it's like you're not going to express that in the real world. Most people in the real world do not engage in content unless they are like totally mentally ill. You know what I mean? Like unless they are totally, absolutely unhinged, probably schizophrenic, they usually just keep to themselves when they're like, I don't like that person. But we can't do that in the online sphere. We just can't do that. It's odd. Anyway, let's continue.
Floyd dies, and initially I was like enraged like everybody else, and then it started to become this weird like political like agenda masquerading or behind his face. Like the face of what was actually happening started to peel off. And
I thought you were a fake leftist grifter who didn't know what the fuck he was talking about versus like bread tubers or something in 2019, 2020 when I started seeing your YouTube videos. Now I have watched you nearly every day for about a year and a half now. Fuck yeah. Anyway, mass mandates.
And I was like, I would counter-protest BLM activists at my town square when I lived in Texas. And they were some of the most just bitter, vile, horrible people you could ever meet. Meanwhile, like the Confederate group that would protest there against them also, they were like the nicest people ever to me, ironically.
I grew up in a Democratic, not a Democratic household, but kind of apolitical, but everybody was Democrat. And then I got a job. And when I got a job and I saw all the taxes come out and I started looking to the left and to the right and going, oh, my money's whittling away over here. And I said, you know what? After Reagan, I'm just going to go ahead and declare myself a Republican. And I've been a Republican ever since.
My mom is pretty liberal. She married my stepdad when I was like 15, 16 in high school, and he's super conservative, like loved Trump, diehard Trump fan. And they had a lot of like back and forth, hearing the two sides, like people who are on such polar opposites just like argue all the time about stuff, seeing that there's a lot of similarities in both sides, like the far radical left and the far radical right. They have a lot of similarities. They just don't want to come and
yeah, no, totally. Like, let me give you examples. For example, as a far leftist guy, okay, I believe that we should have universal health care, a national health care system, as a matter of fact. I'll take it one step further. We should have free college. And the far right don't want any of those things. So it's pretty similar in many ways. Like, or maybe they want ethnic cleansing, depending on how far right you're going, which is pretty similar to like offering free university education to everyone unconditionally, and also making people pay their fair share in taxes, which the far right doesn't, which is very similar to the far left, I think, in many ways. That's basically the same thing because I'm a fucking idiot. I'm the dumbest person you've ever encountered, and I believe these things. Fuck. At least the fucking black conservatives are like very clearly grifting. You know what I mean? What the hell? Like, they are obviously there to grift, okay? Or maybe they just like have genuinely believed this dumb shit. It's like, how do you believe this? Oh, never mind. All right.
Like, see it?
I started off actually kind of similar to you. I went to a Jesuit high school. I grew up very conservative. My mom is Cuban, so ride or die Bush supporter, who is now a ride or die Trump supporter. I think the point in my life when I was the most like libertarian was probably the lowest point in my life.
The far radical left, what they imagine to mean is the annoying rich rad libs who don't want any economic justice. The thing the Trump supporter and Biden supporter have in common is the exact opposite of what centrists in politics espouse. It's economic leftism that has very little actual purchase in the political class. Yes, and it also, unfortunately, has not been able to captivate enough people due to their material hangups to go out and like vote. People are not like, if you're looking at it, if I put my fucking, pollster Andy fucking hat on for a brief moment, the unfortunate reality is that, like, Bernie Sanders, for example, has not been able to captivate people with that message due to a shit ton of, anti-media, anti-Bernie media and all this other stuff. But that is the unfortunate reality. Like, people don't fucking respond to that on the messaging front. And even if they do, I don't know how the fuck, I don't know how you would ever be able to push that legislative agenda. Because we do not live, there is no real democratic process, and this is a bourgeois democracy. 3 years ago and strong, I teach a private old school, and all the things you mentioned about the manosphere continue to help me set students straight and stop them from going up to be shitheads. That's great. Anyway, let's hear what else he has to say.
And I think it's because something that conservatives do really well is they make you feel like you can always like succeed as long as you work hard enough. And that's something that progressives and liberals suck at. That you're a victim of systemic racism, you're black, so you're going to be discriminated against, you're a woman, so nobody's going to care about your feelings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas Republicans will tell you, listen, if you work hard, you can do whatever you want, like just as long as you're willing to put in the work. And I felt that way up to the moment where I was losing my house, where I had an ex-girlfriend that was pregnant, where I had been fired from my previous job. There was a whole bunch of horrible stuff going on in my life, and I very, very luckily got into online content creation. And from there, as I started to make more money, I started to pay more taxes. When I get older and I look at taxes that come out of my paycheck, I care a little bit, but it was just so funny to me that back when I was making $15,000, $20,000 a year, I'm like, I gotta vote for the lower tax bracket, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm barely paying any taxes anyways. And now that I'm older, like if the government wants to take, a few, 10, 20, whatever, how many more $1,000 out.
You just said you worked hard.
I did, but I got very, very, very lucky doing so.
Yeah, he's right about this part as well. Obviously, that like meritocracy clearly is a fucking lie. Luck plays a tremendous role in this. Again, I agree. Hard work is very important. I talk about this all the fucking time. I work very hard. There's one thing you cannot shit on me over. It is how hard I goddamn work. Maybe to a detriment, to a fault. Okay? But that is not the end all be all. There is also a tremendous amount of luck that factored into my success. It's just the truth. And it's very frustrating when people are just like pure denialists of and will advocate for the myth of meritocracy, especially when they're on the when they're on the receiving end of the ass fucking. Anyway, he's not wrong. Leftism feels hopeless. At least you say stuff like unionizing will lead to blah blah blah, but it's not. It's very nice to think that my actual hard work will pay off, but your actual hard work will pay off. Leftism, at the end of the day, is about understanding why society is designed a certain way to churn out certain outcomes. It doesn't mean that should stop you. It's more so, here is your starting position. You can fucking complain about it all day, every day, or you can be the change you want to see in the world and at least make incremental gains in bettering your life, bettering the lives of those around you through through engaging in the act of collective bargaining, doing something by unionizing your workplace, creating a system in the words of Trainwrecks. Okay? That's it. That is the way I view it. That is the way I analyze the situation. It's just, that pisses off a lot of people because they're like, fuck you, you're a rich guy and you're a nepotism recipient. And I'm like, well, there's nothing I can do about that. You know what I mean? I wanted to max out. Yeah, I mean, this is a great example, actually. I think people just don't think that politics can do anything to change people's lives because it's been like 2 generations. Anything good happen for the government? I agree. Union pilots just got a 47% raise this year because of their strong union. UPS full-time drivers making $170,000 a year. A better world is possible, folks. Exactly. Also, union participation is still at that fucking disgusting 10%, unfortunately, in the United States of America. However, the positivity is at an all-time high. People do view unions right now in a more positive way than they have in the last couple of years. I think I heard on NPR this morning it went from like in 2019 a positive impact from unions, like positive opinion on unions went from like 19% to like 30+%, which is really good. Really fucking good.
Very lucky.
You think it's just luck?
It's not just luck, but the difference is that born into a wealthier family, you can make so many more mistakes in life. And when you're born poor, you get like 1 or 2 before your life is over. And that's really sad to me.
Yeah, so I used to be a liberal. I voted for Bernie Sanders in 2016, as much as I regret that now. My family was pretty left.
Wait, what do you mean you regret? Why? Like, even you could be a Trump guy and still like Bernie Sanders, for the record. Well, I guess you can't be a Trump guy who's like, praise your you, Trump. You know what I mean? Because praise your you checks come in, and you can't be fucking talking about big government. I mean, get the hell out of here.
Some of the people in my family were like radically left, like would refer to white people as blue-eyed, redheaded devils, things of that nature. And as I got older,
true. It's true.
I actually started being really outspoken for BLM. I was supposed to be on a reality show teaching people how to be a BLM activist. At the time, I did a deep dive on BLM, and I started to realize...
That's so gross. God, I hate this medium. He literally... doesn't realize. He said, "Oh, reality." That's how much of a grifter he's been. I was so fucking right when I said that this guy was like if things were like 3% different in his life, he would have been a dude who was talking about how like black people hate gay people. Okay, I'm not even kidding. I'm not even joking. I fucking nailed it from the jump. He was doing a fucking reality TV show where he's educating people on Black Lives Matter. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Yeah, this guy is just like, they started paying my paychecks, and I realized it's a better way to fucking go than in the other direction of being like another type of grifter.
All of these lies. So then I took a step back. I'm like, okay, what else am I being lied to about? And I started looking at the Democratic Party and questioning my own loyalty to being on the left.
I personally think both sides tend to be racist in different ways. I don't think the government is on the side of the people in general, and that's just me being, a radical.
When I was young, I used to jump for joy and say, oh yeah, Obama, black president, that's so amazing. He's the same color as me. But what
do you mean when you were young? You are literally a fetus. Like, what do you, when you were a zygote? Like, what are we talking here? When I was protein, okay, before I was in my father's ball sack, I would jump for joy for Obama. It's like, bro, you are literally like 8 right now. What the fuck do you mean?
I started to do more research. One of the biggest things I was confused about is, well, why is he a Democrat? What is a Democrat? I did more research about the Democrat Party, and sure, you guys are going to pop off about the head saying, oh, there's a party switch in the Southern strategy and all these things.
Which is true.
Which you may say is true. I don't believe it is true at all. I understand, you may think I'm wrong.
You are.
However, one of the biggest questions I have is why is
I say you are.
Obama in the same party as the people that started the KKK, the same people that voted against the Civil Rights Act, the same people that are on the news talking about how black people aren't able to accomplish anything and need to be on welfare and need to be promoted with affirmative action and things of that nature.
I also, in terms of, I guess, of my political journey, I was raised conservative, actually. And then high school became, I guess, sort of apolitical.
I feel like, Alec, you can speak on this, but I feel like Jacob doesn't like... Jacob gives me the vibes of the type of person who, like, watches me, but probably not too much, and he hates my Ukraine takes or something. Like, I feel like that's... I don't know. I don't know why I get that vibe from him. Maybe I'm wrong. He's a One Piece fan, and I feel like that's not true at all. Okay, I don't know. Alec Gunter said they were driving and couldn't talk. Okay, don't write anything then. Not everyone watches you. I'm literally talking to someone who is in the video who definitely watches me. And like written in the chat about it. We know he's a long-term community member. Like, this wasn't coming out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
And then throughout college, and I guess just throughout my life since then, I think I guess you can call me a progressive, you can call me, you know, socialist, whatever you, but I guess that's, in the area of where I fall. You said that you were a Bernie fan in 2016, and then you transitioned to being, I guess, more conservative.
I mean, there's a guy who watches me religiously in this beyond Alec. Probably more than Alec himself, and he's in the fucking blue shirt, okay? Like, there's one guy who definitely watches me non-fucking stop, is that little hobbit right there.
I guess, I don't know, to me, Bernie Sanders, from what he said to what you think now, what was the shift?
For me, it was socialism, because back then I was a very broke college kid, and I just had this mentality that everything should be free, and I was feeling a bit entitled, like everything should be handed to me because I was black, because I was very much in that mentality. As I learned more about free markets, as I learned more about capitalism, I started to appreciate that much more. I started to appreciate small business much more, limited government, low regulations. I just started to like that much more. But I would say just more when it comes to economics, I don't agree with him.
Reparations are necessary.
When we talk about reparations, I think that
never mind, take it back.
Reparations in the way that a lot of people think of it, where we just give it to black people. I'm not an expert on this, but I think it would be more income-based, and that in itself, like I said earlier, would disproportionately benefit black people, because if you recognize that they are disproportionately affected by a systemic injustice, then doing it on like a class level would uplift proportionally more black people than white people or any other race.
Yeah, I think like mostly like black GIs that were left out of like the New Deal, for instance, that to be able to come back and as a white American, as a white veteran, to get a home loan and then build that generational wealth, you could not get that as a black American. So there needs to be, I think, reparations. I don't care really what form it comes from. I think free healthcare, free college, so that everyone has like an equal opportunity to educate themselves, to build a better life for themselves. So it's sort of like, and I think Germany is also a perfect model to follow, you know, by issuing, first of all, a formal apology, which we haven't even done that, but also just like donating to like different funds, and you know, just I think a more equitable society, striving for that, is reparations in and of itself.
Germany's not a perfect model to follow. Do not follow Germany's example. Yeah, listen. I mean, I love these conversations, because like it's just never going to happen because of how insanely racist America is. Okay? Like how unimaginably racist America is. But the reality is that you know, it's just, it is ridiculous. This conversation is a ridiculous conversation to be had. Like, if we're not talking about like what is possible, okay, for a brief moment, if we're talking about like purely in the purely hypothetical conversation that it is, okay, it is the correct thing to do. And I'm not even talking about like what mechanisms of delivery you can engage in. Like, are we talking councils designed specifically to take a lump sum of cash and then distribute it to programs like education and social safety nets, or direct cash compensation, or maybe a combination of the two? You know what I mean? it's just like, if reparations are not possible, then why the fuck did we pay reparations to white landowners? Oh, sorry. I meant reparations are not possible for black people. Reparations were very possible for white slave owners. It happened, as you also correctly pointed out. England was literally still, I think, paying reparations, or they were paying reparations until recently to also slave owners and their children. Like, that's a real thing that England did. Isn't the premise of reparations that black people don't have the same intergenerational starting position, and reparations would bring them in line with white people? Not an American. Sorry, stupid question. Yes. Kind of. It was also what was promised. The point is, though, it is like, it, of course, will never happen because, like, as Puerto Rican vegan socialist is correctly pointing out, our entire economy has been based off of the oppressive structures of slavery and basically legal slavery by a different name, right? The 13th Amendment and the utilization of the criminal justice system to still have a permanent underclass is precisely what we've done. Or, in some instances, we've also outsourced the slavery into victims of America's imperialist actions. And we, of course, continue churning out new eviscerated areas all around the world, specifically so that we can, one, extract their natural resources, and also to utilize their labor force for cheap manufacturing. So there was a bald guy by the name of Lenin who wrote about this, imperialism, the final stage of capitalism. It's in how it necessitates. Capitalism necessitates imperialism. Highly suggest you guys, some call him Lenin. Highly suggest you guys read him. But ultimately, those are some of the many reasons why this is purely hypothetical. But it is also kind of weird that even spiritually speaking, like, people don't want to come to terms with reparation, even as a pure hypothetical. Like, they don't even want to, they can't even engage in it from that perspective. It was wild to me.
I have no problems with reparations if they had happened initially during the, like, slavery or the civil rights movement or any of that. But to try and do that now logistically, it just doesn't really make any sense. And, like,
oh, okay, never mind then. Fuck it, YOLO. That's fine then. No. Don't correct it. Don't correct it at all, actually.
Where would this money come from? Like, we're in so much debt as a nation. Would I get this money? I'm biracial.
We never equalize society. Black children still go to segregated schools. They get significantly less money per child. True. Look at the Chicago public school system if you want to learn more. Black families never had their housing purchases subsidized by the government loans, and much of the New Deal excluded jobs overwhelmingly held by black or brown people. Also true. That's before we talk about the war on drugs targeting black communities or Jim Crow. Yeah. And remnants of systemic discrimination that still exists today. Direct and indirect forms of discrimination.
Racial or triracial, like, do mixed people get it? And, like, do Irish people get reparations when they were indentured servants?
I think for reparations, if you can find specific instances of somebody being, like, actually deprived of something, whether specific instances of, like, the 40 acres and a meal promise, or whether you can find specific cases of, like, Chinese people building railroads or Irish people or whatever, people being deprived of things, that's okay. But otherwise, yeah, it's a logistical nightmare. There's no possible way that we'd be able to do it well.
Yeah, America's unique because we have bent over backwards for decades now, putting minorities in a position of privilege. I feel like we have.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm always saying, dude. I'm always thinking, you know what these minorities have too much of? Privilege. That's a great take, man. Thank you. N-word Andy is a lib. Yeah, when you place him in front of black conservatives, he will be the biggest liberal of all time.
Have done so much to give back to the communities that were obviously wronged. And I agree with both of you. Like, had this happened a long time ago, I would understand it. If we had specific incidences that we could trace where people were just completely screwed over, I would respect it. But right now, I don't deserve a payment for something my great-great-great-great-grandparents went through. And I don't think that white people are responsible for paying that to me.
Bro, this is like, here's a thing that I don't understand, okay? This is actually peasant brain, okay? Low key, or not even low key, high key. Rich people have never said, please don't give me money, Mr. Government Man, okay? I only hear this from fucking dumbass poor people, okay? Broke boys. Like, I remember when the when the Trump bucks were coming in during COVID, and motherfuckers would come into my chat and be like, dude, I don't feel comfortable taking this money. It's too much money. I'm like, what are you saying? This is the first time in your entire fucking life the federal government has actually got your back, okay? To take the fucking money. I've never heard a rich motherfucker be like, these subsidies, perhaps they're a little too much. As a matter of fact, they do the exact opposite. They say, hey, why aren't you giving me more of the fucking tax dollars in the form of subsidies, you fucking asshole? Give me more money. And also, cut my fucking taxes at the same time. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. Americans are so fucking cooked. Their brains are just like fundamentally broken. They're like, oh, please, I don't want reparations as a black person. Like, even conservative, liberal, doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Let's say in a hypothetical scenario, the federal government's like, sorry, black people, for the whole slavery thing. We're going to give you money. What the fuck are you saying no to that? Like, what's wrong with you? What is fucking wrong with you? Fuck morality, okay? What the absolute fuck is wrong with your brain that you quite literally are just like, nah, the debt ceiling, though, like the budget, how are we going to budget this? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's like, this guy's a bootlegger, though, so, yeah, I mean, it just frustrates me to see how much conservatives basically advocate against their own benefit in the dumbest ways possible, and not just black conservatives, okay? Because the black conservative thing is like a meme. You make fun of it. Anytime you see a black conservative be like, oh, 1776, greatest nation on earth, I'm like, dude, the people that literally designed this country would have an aneurysm thinking at the thought of like a free black person, okay? What the fuck are you saying? It's not for you. You're not a part of that team at all, okay? You're barely part of the team now as is, but you certainly weren't back then. What the fuck are you LARPing about? But also, beyond that, conservatives in general literally turn, like, advocating against their best interests into a virtue for some reason. It's like, no, you're just an idiot. You know what I mean? You're just stupid. You're a dumb person. You're advocating for being fucking stupid. Like, fuck morality, okay? Just think about it from a pure capitalist, gritty, self-interested perspective, and you will recognize that you're just being a fucking dumbass, okay? Libs definitely do that shit too, though. 100%. That's why I said it's like an American thing. It's quite literally being like, yeah, fucking raise my rent, dog. I'll just grind harder. Like that. It's that meme, but turned into reality. It's like, yeah, my landlord raised rent. Fuck it. That just means I got to grind harder. But like, unironically, that is the perspective of like so many fucking Americans. It blows my mind. Okay.
Either.
I know we don't want to use the word virtue signaling, but it's sort of like a bribe for a vote in a way, at least in my opinion. In states like California, where they've been throwing around the idea of, oh, we want to pay out this much money to every black citizen in there, in this state, it's like, oh, are you serious? Because this is kind of like a joke, in my opinion.
I think that if we impose reparations now, I think it would rip America apart. I think that we're already separated enough as it is, and now you're going to have people walking around going,
I mean, yeah, these people think that fucking affirmative action is responsible for racism. Yeah, of course Renee, who thinks affirmative action is responsible for racism and not the racism in and of itself of how the society was designed, is going to be like, reparations would rip this country apart. I mean, come on.
You owe me money. You owe me money. I'm not paying you any money. It would just...
Actually, I agree with that. Reparation would cause the right to go bananas. Yeah, it'll never happen. So that's why I'm saying it's a pure hypothetical of a thing that will never happen, okay? It just won't. That's the reality. Matt Christman nailed this perfectly. The reason Americans don't vote in their own interest is because they don't view politics as a mean to improve their material condition. They view it as a tool to punish their political enemies. I agree. To a certain degree, I agree with that, yes. That's what happens from the Reagan era all the way till now. Okay? When you have lost complete confidence in the federal government doing anything right by you, or even your local government's doing anything right by you, whether it be fucking fixing potholes or forcing the cops to actually do their jobs, you know what I mean? It's never going to happen. So now you're just like, well, maybe I can just like annoy the other side. And Republicans are much better at spite-based politics than Democrats are for the most part.
To really rip us apart.
Giving somebody money doesn't mean anything if they don't know what to do with the money or how to handle the money. So if the primary issue...
Bro, that's just... Again, close your eyes. It's a white person saying this, okay? You're just racist. You're like a racist person. The reason why we have to play this role here is because no matter what, Americans and everyone else is like conditioned. Everyone is conditioned into thinking that like, one, black people do not have the capacity to be like actual white supremacists when that is absolutely the case, because white supremacy in and of itself is obviously a product of social conditioning. So if you live in a white supremacist nation and you're a black person, you can still be, you can still become, with some, maybe financial help as well, a white supremacist and out about white supremacists. I've heard this argument before, which is, black people don't know what to do with the money. They'll just go and like buy dumb shit. It's like, wow, that's brilliant. Thank you. Yeah. Classic. I mean, they say the same thing about poor people on welfare. Yeah, I know. I know they do that. It's really, really fucking gross and really stupid.
In black culture or with black people is generational trauma, then maybe they need more therapy than they need money, honestly.
Which conservatives are also against.
Well, that's kind of my argument. Like, if there is like that, like generational trauma or whatever, like I think examples of like free healthcare, they could see a therapist and not be, fall into debt. And I think the argument of like the logistical nightmares of it, I think if we want to pay for something in this country, we usually find a way to do it, especially when it comes to the military. So, I mean, we pay for multi-billion-dollar jets all the time.
It's not the dollars, it's who's supposed to get them.
Not to attack progressives, but that is like the most progressive idea in the world. Is like, I can see the headlines like reparations voted on in Congress to be paid in the form of free therapy for people in the hood. That just sounds like the funniest thing in the world. But
well, I also don't think it.
Bro, those are your people, Destiny. Those are the libs. Like, I thought he was like a Democratic Party defender. I'm surprised that he would be making fun of the Democratic Party like this, because I don't think that he said that, but
it's gonna come directly from like, white person to black person, like, oh, your lineage affected his lineage.
It is though. Like in San Francisco, they were going to raise the average family or the average household in San Francisco.
Bro, I'm surprised he didn't fucking rip a new asshole into the black conservatives more. Like, that's legitimately shocking. It's poor performance, and I know he has that dog in him. This is a guy who sent a burning cross to a black conservative on Twitter, okay? He literally sent a burning, like a Klan burning cross to a black conservative and said, "Is it lit?" He did that. That's wild to me that he's just sitting here like a little pussycat years later and like, me. Like, what's happening? That's wild.
Francisco was expected to pay $600,000 each with the...
He held back here. And for people being like, oh, no, he's a Twitter tough guy. No, like, he's very good at debates. That's not... the debates don't necessarily mean that you're right, righteous, truthful, have facts on your side. It means that you're very good at rhetoric. He is very good at rhetoric. Something that I have maintained, a position that I've maintained for a very long time. But one other thing that you have to understand here is that despite, Destiny being a keyboard warrior, he performs very well in public on debates as well. I'm just, like I said, shocked at how tempered he is in this situation, in a antagonistic situation where he's supposed to be like ripping, and he has the go ahead to rip into the black conservatives here.
The $5 million per black person proposal that they had. And I used to live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I was repulsed by that because you have so many homeless veterans on the streets, and they were going to give black people a home for as little as...
Wow, dude. Wow, the homeless veterans narrative. It's like, dude, this guy hit the conservative bingo. Bro, you don't give a fuck about homeless veterans, dog. You literally don't care about homeless people, okay? Like, you just don't care. You're a PragerU guy. Why are you fucking lying and acting like you give a single shred of a shit about homeless people? Okay? I hate this. Like, I hate this fucking mentality. It's like, you're standing against that too. So what the fuck do you mean? Why are you bringing this up right now? Why are we acting like you now? What do I have? Whenever I fucking talk to conservatives, I have to like shut off my brain to act like I don't have fucking object permanence so I can just like believe their argument for that brief moment. It's like, okay, then let's give housing to every homeless person, veteran or not. Okay, can we do that? No. Then shut the fuck up. Then shut your stupid fucking mouth because you don't give a fuck. You can't just use one societal problem as a cudgel against another one simply for the sake of that argument and hope that like no one that is talking to you is going to examine your perspective on the matter. What the fuck? It's just a prop. It's just a fucking talking point. Shut the fuck up. God, I hate these people.
$1 just for being black. Mind you, slavery wasn't even in California. So why that was going to be the case, like, I don't understand, but it's extremely unrealistic to think that.
How did black people get to California, man? Like, how did black people get to the continental United States? Like, what do you mean? Slavery wasn't in California. Oh, okay, never mind, dude. How did your fucking great-great-great-grandparents get here, dog? How did that happen? Huh? How? How did that happen? Were they 1776ers? Were they on board? They're like, hell yeah, dude. Love this shit. Did they teleport? What the fuck is he saying? Like, what? Do black people not have the capacity to move from state to state? Like, what is happening here?
The average family in San Francisco can afford that.
That's because Newsom wants to get reelected.
Okay, but you don't really care about homeless veterans, right? Like,
oh,
you don't support.
You don't know
I
me.
feel like all your arguments are ad hominem.
But you're
literally
here as a
every
conservative.
single one.
Okay, dude, this is a great take. Great take, Alec. Be like, oh, okay, what are the initiatives you have to combat homelessness? Because I know Dennis Prager's opinion on it, and he's paying your paychecks, okay? I know he don't give a fuck about housing the homeless, veteran or not. Ad hominem, ad hominem. What the fuck do you mean ad hominem? That is a genuinely important talking point that you brought up voluntarily. I didn't fucking say, what's your thought on homeless people out of nowhere? You brought it up, bitch. What is your fucking solution? That's not what an ad hominem is. Fuck, I hate these fucking stupid debate perverts who like literally don't know the logical fallacies that they're just dropping in a fucking argument. Ugh.
You're here as a conservative. So what policies do you support for homeless veterans?
There's ways to address, I mean,
specifically
for homeless in general.
That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
No, it's not. No, it's not. He brought it up. Then it's a deflection, okay? He brought it up as a way to misdirect, and now he's holding him to account. You brought it up. You can't just say it's a different conversation. Why'd you fucking bring it up then in this conversation? You fucking idiot. You can't bring it up and then be like, oh, well, this is a different conversation. Why'd you bring it up? Why'd you bring it up then? You think there are no black homeless veterans? You think there are no black homeless people? Why'd you bring that up? 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 Fuck you! Oh my God. I fucking hate debates so much. I hate debates so fucking much. Stop strawmanning my steel, man. No, it's like, it's so stupid because like, they're not used to, like, conservatives, especially like commentators, are just like not used to any fucking real valid pushback from someone who knows what the fuck they're doing, okay? Which is doubly why I'm mad at the fucking Hobbit sitting in the weirdest way possible in the middle of the goddamn fucking debate stage right now, like sitting there like a fucking little kitty cat. What is he doing? I have heard this man say unhinged shit to like trans activists or whoever the fuck he has perceived to the left of him, who that he is mad at on any given day. Like, he's fucking lied, knowing full well about my background, lied about like, oh, well, Hasan shouldn't speak on fucking, sex trafficking minors or whatever the fuck. And he's over here sitting there like a little cutie patootie, not even fucking ripping a new asshole to these guys making horrible arguments, even from the aspect of like being a guy who wants to see a little bit of blood. If you're into blood sport, like, this is wild to me that he's just not fucking shitting on him more.
Let's say that we didn't find a middle ground in there.
Yeah.
All right.
But that's a great ending note.
White liberals have a savior.
Well, I gotta say, this is a shock. I never expected all 4 of you to just come forward and admit it, but you know what?
You like saying you pay for porn stars to stay on Twitch? Wait, what? I pay for porn stars to stay on Twitch? What does that even mean? I don't even know what that means.
I'm happy with these results.
I just think it's a lot of people, I guess, people, of the left, whatever, can kind of fall into that trap of thinking that, black people as a monolith need to be
Your point about him hating you and doing anything to shit on you is proven here, FYI.
Saved as a whole.
I have no shame about it. I have a savior complex as an older brother, and I will save you whether you like it or not. So that's just me.
Well, it's definitely not.
White liberals have a savior complex. Wait, why is she not there? It 100% is true. Yeah, it is true. There are plenty of white liberals who do have a fucking savior complex, who do actually come from a perspective of a different kind of racism or racial discrimination in general. It's the classic meme of like, it's the classic meme that I shit on regularly of like white people that will turn around and be like, they'll see, it's like the Michael Che joke, right? You turn around and you see a black person, you're immediately like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about racism. I'm so sorry about police brutality during like the BLM protests and shit. It's really fucking stupid. But literal liberals though, not leftists, like, I don't give a shit. I know that I'm sure Destiny will use this as an opportunity to be like, yeah, I know people that have this. I've debated people that have this. I'm assuming he will, or people will assume that he's talking about me, I'm sure. Ultimately, if I was that much of a white liberal with a savior complex, I wouldn't be fucking called a racist all the goddamn time by Black Twitter, I suspect. But then again, it doesn't take much. I'm both the most racist man against black people and the most racist man against white people simultaneously at the same time. Equal opportunity racism for the most part. But let's see.
Because a lot of us are really just exhausted of being viewed as our skin color. Because when you have this mindset that you need to save black people and we're just sitting here minding our own business and living our lives the way we want to, I don't know why it is that people feel this immense pressure to be so apologetic and just always trying to cater and coddle to black people when we just want to be treated like everybody else. We're equal for a reason.
I think especially recently with a lot of riot stuff that's gone on or protest stuff that's gone on, people on the left tend to infantilize a lot of different types of protesters, and especially even talking to some of the other black content creators I do content with, when you hear a lot of progressives come out and say, well, they don't have a choice but to riot or break into this store, or, well, they're stealing, these electronics or shoes for...
I hate how fucking reductive this take is. It is so unimaginably stupid and reductive, but it doesn't matter. America is a white supremacist nation, and no matter what happens, reductive ass fucking takes like this will always be prescient. It will always gain prominence. It will always be celebrated by a bunch of dumbasses who agree with it, but agree with way worse versions of this as well. Okay?
Good reasons, you just don't realize it. I think a lot of people kind of look both...
Like, no one is saying fucking people are stealing shoes for good reason. Like, I hate this fucking argument, dude. I hate this argument so much. It's so stupid. It is no different than what, like, racist dumbasses say on a regular basis. But that's not too shocking.
And it's a little bit weird that there's such a complex on the left to excuse, like, every single possible negative behavior from somebody, as long as they're a skin color that you're kind of in charge of protecting. Okay. Motherfuckers will agree with this and try to MLK would be on their side. I know.
I love this fucking take, and no matter what I say about this particular subject matter, whatever I say about this take, is that everyone has already made up their minds. He admitted this comment was about you. Yeah, I don't give a fuck, dude. Yeah, great. I'm glad that I have a permanent fucking occupying space in his mind that he unironically cannot let go of, and that it's been fucking years. And big homie still hasn't let go. You know what I mean? Fine. This is the first time I've reacted to a video with like Destiny in it in like probably, I would say, what, 3-4 years. There's like been some clips where he's in it. Anyway, so having said that, okay, in like 3 years, yeah, rent free. Having said that, my analysis, if we're talking about, you're in like 15% of his thumbnails, though. Weird. Yeah, I know. Oh, well, whenever you guys see random dumb shit that is like popping up about me online, know that it's coming from a particular place. Okay. Crime doesn't happen because people are good or bad, for the most part. Okay? The overwhelming majority of crime happens as a consequence of people's material conditions. This is a constant fact that people have known about since ancient Greece. It's not that different, okay? No matter what happens, this is why crime happens. In order to genuinely solve crime, you must not simply focus on the externalities, okay? And focus on a justice that is draconian, focus on a justice that is specifically there as a deterrence mechanism, and focus on the root causes of why crime happens. Okay? This is not simply about black people. This is about all people across the board in every fucking country. Throughout time. That's it. You can resort to stereotyping and be like, nah, black people are fucking only stealing shoes and they're doing riots all day, every day. But ultimately, even when you think about people, any type of person stealing fucking shit from a big box store, okay, that crime is not happening in that moment specifically because they're like, oh man, there is no real morality behind it. They're not doing it because they're like, oh, I deserve this in the form of reparations, or the justification for it doesn't come from that at all. Okay? If you want to solve it, solve people's material inequalities. Something that every single person, at least on this side of the panel, has agreed with so far. Solve the systemic inequalities and people will not fucking riot. That's it. There's also more prescient, more important kinds of crime that never get punished. It's a nice dream, but like the closer you are to solving these material equalities, the better society gets. That's it. It's the truth. I've talked about this so many fucking times before and have been proven right by just time passing. People used to say this about the Walgreens shit when people constantly were like, oh, Walgreens are closing down in San Francisco due to rampant crime, organized, serialized, rampant crime that's occurring in San Francisco. I told you at the time that was bullshit. Everybody fucking yelled at me, including Gnome Man over there. I didn't hear any apologies from him when the Walgreens CFO openly came out and was like, yeah, we were greatly exaggerating the crime thing. It was absolutely a narrative that they went along with because they wanted to shelter. They wanted to shelter the real reason why they were closing their fucking stores, which was because, you know, rent's too fucking high even for Walgreens. Okay. And brick and mortar retail across the board is not exactly profitable with e-commerce blowing the fuck up. Shouts out to Amazon for that. Okay, but instead of admitting that, which would have genuinely hurt their stock prices, they decided to hide the reason why they were downsizing in certain areas by feeding into a narrative that already had existed. a narrative that was very, very top of mind at the time. Okay? I never got an apology from any of the people, whether it be LSF commentators or Destiny or his community, when the CFO of Walgreens openly admitted that they greatly exaggerated that. Okay? And as far as crime and what kind of crime is totally allowed and valid and seen as permissible, I mean, look no further than the minor amount of fines that you incur when you hire minors to work in your place of business. If the punishment is simply a fine you can pay, and it greatly outweighs, or it doesn't even come anywhere near the amount of money you can save by violating said rules, then that's simply a fee to purchase, that's simply a fee to allow you to work children in your place of business. Another crime that people rarely ever talk about is wage theft, okay, which is much, much, much larger than even grand larceny and I believe grand theft auto combined. Okay? Yeah, when this 17-year-old working in Michigan lost his hand in a grinder, the owner of the meat business in Western Michigan was ordered to pay $1,143. Okay? Wage theft is larger than all other forms of theft combined, and yet rarely ever gets punished. This conversation also ignores something that I think you center during these riots, which is that the media utilizes images of black people rioting in a very specific and insidious way. It's disgusting race baiting. Yes, absolutely. Every time I talk about the media coverage of like rioters, whether it be Black Lives Matter protests or whether it be just like the Kai Cenat meetup, I am almost always covering this as like this incredibly gross, incredibly violent display of charlatans. Whereas if it's not expressly or completely all black people engaging in said rioting or even looting, breaking into storefronts and whatnot, it is rarely ever covered with such terms. The solution is not necessarily to make sure that all matter of coverage is just as brutal and demand more draconian punishments. The solution should be to cover it even-handedly. Maybe cover it both in the similar fashion. But in the other way, not in the more violent direction. Anyway. People think you rightfully pushing back against media narratives is coddling black people. They just want to they want you to let their liberal racism fly. For the most part, yes. If you consider that kind of coverage to be like, why is the media covering, this is an old meme at this point because the media has definitely changed their perspective on their coverage. But if... What is this? I'm a juicer. I'm kind of mold brain. You're saying poor people see little option for getting lettuce, so they steal. Please explain more. Thank you. No, it's not. It's usually not even direct. It's usually not even direct like, oh, I'm going to steal a fucking loaf of bread. Okay? The point is, there are many different reasons for why people steal shit, but the overwhelming majority of why, like, organized crime or whatever the fuck happens, okay, or where they're stealing bags, like Gucci bags and shit, is because you can pay your rent with a Gucci bag that you sell to a fence, or you are basically getting hired to steal by some other dude who is still extracting your surplus labor value, this time in the form of theft. That is your labor, okay? You sell the Gucci bag to buy fucking loaves of bread for a month. You steal one loaf of bread, you can only eat until that loaf of bread goes bad. That's why people steal shit that is valuable but small, okay? and absolutely zero people think it's cool and fun and great, myself included, that like random people get robbed at gunpoint. I don't think that that is a good thing. Okay? I do not think that that is a good thing at all, clearly. I hope people understand that. Having said that, however, if you want to fucking stop that kind of gunpoint robbery from occurring, then you have to solve the underlying problems. Okay? We're not giving any options to black children living in underserved neighborhoods. We're putting them in a system. We're basically marking them from a very early age. We're not giving them any avenue to I don't know, focus on creative things that they might want to do. We're telling them that their life is fucked, and we're showing them their lives are fucked. There's no after-school special programs or anything like that. And then we're expecting that like someone overcome these insane hurdles? Like, how are you gonna fucking clear that when you're 12 years old? You know what I mean? A big problem that I have with debate lords in general is that like this part of the conversation never gets mentioned, and the only part that is like the most clippable part is what they keep hammering onto, where they craft a genuinely different narrative than one I have intended to mention. Okay? Sometimes it's not as quippy, especially when you're fucking describing complex shit. They're going to see this Gucci bag take and do exactly that, lol. I know, but I've said that many, many times over. Oh, anyway, who cares? You know, it happens every time. I wish for my interlocutors to have a level of charitability.
I find that very offensive.
Yeah.
I find it
It's
extremely,
really
it upsets me to hear that, because we're just like you. We just have a different skin color. And to hear that you have to help me is offensive to me. I can do it on my own.
Well, we have to break down sometimes why these riots happen. You know, MLK once said that riots are the voice of the unheard. So if you are to address the problem and stop the riots, you have to address the underlying inequality that has historically been pervasive. You know, even if you as individual people are doing fine and you don't want anybody else to get in the way of that, that's cool, and I'm not going to be the one to get in the way, but the disparities are undeniable.
So if you take pride in having like a white savior complex, what is it that you think that you're doing to save black people, and what is it that you think that you're saving black people from?
It's Osmond. The first thing morons will say is, let's steal from his mega mansion since he loves Steph so much. I know. Like, I don't know what to say to that person who's like, I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to rob you. Like, I just genuinely don't understand how you can't comprehend the point I'm trying to make. But also, it seems like you don't have an issue with theft in that regard, I guess, then. Like, you know. But yeah, him just saying he has white savior complex is not great. Alec fucked up there.
I'm trying to make the world a better place through whatever means I can.
But you're doing it on the backs of us.
I wouldn't say so.
Yeah, I actually do. I feel like you want to be a savior and you're using me to make yourself feel good.
No. She's right. That is what white savior is. That's literally what it is. She's absolutely right. Because no matter how conservative, she's still black. And she's probably experienced that kind of racial discrimination.
That's what
How
I'm
am I hurting you?
You're not letting me have my own voice. You're not letting me speak.
How? You're speaking now?
No,
you're cutting her off.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I have to.
Yeah. Well, what's happening? I mean, you're speaking right now. You're speaking right now in this particular setting. Mm-hmm. But what you're saying is, like, you took it back to riots and so forth, and it makes it seem like the only way that we as black people can have a voice is by riots, and then you need to come along and you need to say, okay, poor little black child, let me help you. That's offensive to me, and I feel like you're making yourself feel good about trying to help us, and
I also think that, like, when we talk about damage, I think especially when it comes to a lot of the shoplifting stuff that's going on in certain cities, you get a lot of white people that live in nice suburbs saying things like shoplifting is no big deal, that's fine.
Oh my God, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. To portray, like, white liberals in the suburbs as defending shoplifting is the most idiotic thing I've ever fucking heard in my entire life. It's the classic trope, I'm going to die. Oh, God. Yeah, no, that's precisely what they're doing. You want to know what fucking white people in the suburbs are doing when they see black people protesting, dude? What is that fucking couple? What the ones that, like, ran? What is it? The white couple with guns that fucking came out with their AR-15s? The McCloskeys, yes. This is what, let me tell you something, okay? This is what fucking white people are doing when they see black people in their neighborhoods, okay? Get the fuck out of here, dog. Get the absolute fuck out of here. Who do you think is closer to, like, a wealthy white person living in the suburbs? What mentality is closer to a wealthy white person living in the suburbs? A person who's like, oh man, I'm so fucking woke. Like, I think shoplifting is not a big deal. A person that you have invented in your mind that you say, I am exactly like, or this person, or fucking Kyle Rittenhouse. Like, this is so incredibly fucking dumb. This is 100% closer to the average mentality of the wealthy person living in the suburbs as far as, like, shoplifting happens, because they are the ones who own the fucking shops. If anything, no, I love this. That's one example. Okay, let me give you more than one example. If you look at who's wealthier, like, which party wealthier people on average are voting for, do you think it's the Democratic Party or do you think it's the Republican Party? The answer to this question will determine how incredibly online you are. Okay? Go ahead. Go ahead. Explain. Yeah, they do. So shut the fuck up. What do you think Republicans' attitudes are on shoplifting? This is so stupid. What do you think liberals' attitudes are on shoplifting? Have you ever fucking talked to a California liberal living in a wealthy suburb? Have you ever talked to a New York liberal living in a wealthy area? Crime hysteria is off the fucking charts in places like this. When I talk about shoplifting and how big of a fucking problem it is, the reason why people shove that back down my fucking throat every single goddamn time is because it is not as bad as they represented. Crime across the board is much, much lower than it was year over fucking year. That's it. That's the only thing I point out, which is not even my perspective. It's the perspective that police are delivering, okay? It is the crime numbers that they release. It's so incredibly stupid. The worst aspect of crime isn't necessarily the genuine fucking shareholder value that's hurting or whatever, okay? That one is baked in. Crime and theft of this magnitude, retail theft of this magnitude, is already baked into their fucking profit margins. They already know that. They already account for it, okay? The worst aspect of this kind of crime that is regularly portrayed in all aspects of news and also has been greatly overemphasized due to, like, apps like Nextdoor, Ring, and numerous other, like, protective services that want to freak you out so you buy more of their fucking product, even though crime is always a fucking constant when there is material inequality. The worst aspect of it is that it freaks people the fuck out and suckers them into giving more money to the police that do a horrible job of dealing with it, partially because it's not supposed to be their responsibility to deal with the underlying reasons as to why crime exists to begin with, which is material inequality. That's it. Anyway. What is this? You are unlikable. You are just the mayor of Yapville, aren't you? Okay, that's pretty funny. I don't know why he fucking unbanned this person. Come on. This guy is pretty funny. I am the mayor of Yapville. That is true. You got me. Okay, you fucking owe me on that one.
And then you'll catch YouTube videos of them later on being in a Walgreens in like a shoddy neighborhood, and they're like, man, why is the deodorant behind a locked case? It's very easy to sit behind a gated community and say, oh, well, you know, it's not a big deal, you know. They steal because they have to. Riots are the language.
Dude, no one living in the fucking gated community is saying, I'm sorry, dude, come on. I know this meme about, like, this is literally just me. He's saying, like, I'm saying this. I don't live in a fucking gated community, dumbass. God damn it, this shit pisses. All my haters, I do live in a gated community with auto turrets. Remember that. There are literal auto turrets outside and a moat with crocodiles in it. I will fucking, if you come here, okay, I live in a gated community, okay, certainly, definitely. Attack dogs is a rust compound, okay? Remember that. Don't say bet, dumbass. You're going to get fucking banned. Anyway. Once again, yeah, I got bodyguards and security detail. All of that is true. Okay, don't even try me. But the point is, a lot of people love pointing to this like straw man that they've created of me, where it's like, oh, Hasan lives in a gated community, that's why he doesn't care about crime. It's like, motherfucker, you live in like Miami, don't you? Where the fuck does this guy live? I know he doesn't live in LA anymore, right? Or does he still live in LA? Like, I live in an area that is literally portrayed as one of the highest crime neighborhoods in Los Angeles on local news all the fucking time, okay? What the fuck are you talking about? Organized retail theft is happening in my neighborhood all the time. Literally, all the fucking time. Like, what does this take? It's so stupid. It's not real. It's literally, it's just like, it happens. It happens every now and then. No, they don't do organized retail theft in Compton, dummy. Like, they do it in fucking neighborhoods where they have Gucci stores at, okay? Bro was not talking about you. Come on, man. Wait, didn't he literally admit he was? I thought. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, it just does not fucking matter. Yeah, as a poor white guy, I love hearing rich whites say how dangerous it is. It isn't. Yeah, I hate this fucking narrative. Like, who are we crafting this narrative towards? Like rich white guys, really? Like a lot of rich white guys are saying it's okay to do fucking crime. Like, what the fuck? If there's only one rich white guy who says it's okay to do fucking crime, it's me, okay? That's who you're talking about. And even that's not real. You've just, kept solidifying that perspective by clip chimping me 1,000 times over. So now a lot of brain-broken dumbasses legitimately believe that. But the reality is, like, who the fuck are we talking about when we say rich white guys, they love crime. They love having crime happen. Hammer and Sickle Twitter, which you hate as well, broke his brain, and he sees you as their leader when they don't even like you either. Yeah, they fucking despise me. Hammer and Sickle Twitter despises my ass. Anyway. Yeah, the whole fucking reason the suburbs exist is because crime hysteria. Look at voting patterns. Look at where the crime hysteric DAs run. Hell, our DA and OC ran on the slogan, keep LA out of OC. This is true across counties. Yeah, my biggest problem with this is that, like, a lot of small-brained dipshits will go, lol, he's talking about you. Lol, like, there are rich white guys. You, omega lol, you don't care. And it's like, okay, I'm one fucking guy. Let's say I'm, like, super pro fucking theft and stealing. Do you think that is the reality across the board for rich white people? Do you think that that is a good fucking counter? Do you understand? It's not. You have deluded yourself into thinking of a singular example that you have been made to believe is like this representation. And now you just have this complete false notion in your mind and you're operating with it. And maybe it makes you feel good. Maybe it makes you feel right that you do believe in draconian punishments, okay? But now you've moved way beyond the reality. Does that make sense?
language of the unheard. I think people haven't read the full context of that quote. When MLK was saying riots were the language of the unheard and you need to address the underlying condition, he wasn't condoning the rioting. He was just understanding it.
Obviously, there are a lot.
That's okay. So I guess at least I'm in agreement with MLK on that one.
Bunch of white people that feel they need to be a savior, but I think there's a difference between.
Maybe talking about people like your uncle. Brother, my uncle is a perfect example of a dude who's upper middle class who has broken his brain about fucking crime happening in big cities. He is like, the entire Young Turks has dramatically shifted their perspective. Damn near the entirety of the Young Turks commentators have dramatically shifted their perspective on crime. They literally are the guy who's like, fucking crime is out of control. It's going crazy. Who I've argued with publicly.
Helping and saving. Like, I don't think I would need to save black people, but I would tremendously love to help and make sure everyone has like equal outcome, or not equal outcome, but at least equal opportunity, which in my opinion, I feel we do not have in this country.
This is awkward. Hi, guys.
Yeah, Jank literally endorsed Rick Caruso. What the fuck are we talking about? If there's anyone who's like a hysteric, crime hysteric, it's him. Crime is a constant in cities and also rural areas alike. Different kinds of crime exist in different kinds of places in the United States of America. If you want to solve crime, if you want to eradicate crime, you have to fix underlying material conditions that foster crime, that create crime, okay? A draconian attitude towards crime and punishment as a deterrence measure is demonstrably a failure. That's why when you look at European cities, that's why when you look at European nations, as a matter of fact, with higher levels of social safety nets, even though they're not perfect either, they have lower levels of crime in general, even if they are more aggressive about documenting every single instance of crime. The part of the reason why is not because they have worse prison conditions overall or that their cops are fucking brutal and militarized overall. The problem is, or the reason why their fucking crime rates are way lower is because if you have food in your belly, if you have a better paying fucking job, then you see no reason to go out and do fuck shit, okay? Crime is only done by people who have completely lost faith in the structures that they exist under. When you lose everything else and you feel like you have no other option, that's when you do fucking crime. That's it. I hate that. Can we also ask, where do we go from here in regards to Dee's point? Like, okay, if minorities commit crimes, they don't want to bring up systemic issues around that convo. Like, even the MLK quote he said to shut down the convo rather than bring up the deeper issue. Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's not fucking great if people are protesting to a degree where, like, additional police brutality and additional police presence is seen as a necessity and they're fucking brutal, and then like all hell breaks loose. Okay? That's not good. It's not good to experience bedlam. Okay? All of this signals that there is societal collapse that is imminent. There's a way to solve this problem, but everyone keeps avoiding it. Like the top of the fucking hour. You know what I mean? Like a subscriber at the top of the hour who avoids the top of the hour ad break by subscribing for $5 or for free. Many people refuse to talk about the real issues, the real reasons as to why crime exists. And it's much more comfortable to say, nah, I don't hear you. You love crime. You laughed at a shoplifter being brutalized by a bunch of Kai Cenat fans. You loved it. You loved when it happened. And you said, I'm glad it happened and I wish it happens more. Okay? And that's great. It's like fun to have fun on your side of the hug box where you feel like this is truly what I'm trying to say here. And that's great. Good on you. Have fun with that. But we're not arriving at a solution. If you truly do care about the truth, which I don't think anyone really does, but if you do care about solutions, like, there's only one fucking way out of this. Well, there's two ways out of this: socialism or barbarism. Here's the 3-minute ad break now.
So I didn't step forward just because I don't want to broad brush all white liberals as having a white savior complex. I have experienced white liberals who do have that, and they're very unpleasant people. But I don't think every single white person who's a liberal or who is an activist for BLM or any of those things necessarily has a white savior complex. I think that there's a lot of white people who genuinely think that black people are oppressed and they want to help, and that's what they're told.
What it seems like to me, when most people have savior complex, regardless of whom they're trying to save, it's like they're taking real pain and real trauma and using that as a way to push this political agenda, but also to alleviate themselves of whatever guilt that they feel unnecessarily. Like, I don't know why a white person today would feel guilty for things that happened decades ago, let alone something that happened centuries ago.
I've never seen a white person say, I personally feel guilty for slavery. Maybe they're out there, but I've never heard that.
Yeah, in second grade, when they taught us about slavery, almost every kid in my classroom would spend their entire time looking at black kids in that classroom. How was I supposed to not think, wow, these people are feeling guilty for something that they have no involvement in and I have no involvement in?
Every kid in my classroom understood the context.
People hate feeling uncomfortable, and obviously you don't want to feel like the bad guy, and so I feel like it comes from a place of like, oh, well, like, let me make sure that I'm different and like I'm showing.
I don't understand. This is one conversation that escapes me completely. Whenever people say like I have like white guilt and I am a white savior or whatever, I don't get it, because like I didn't grow up in this country. So I like slavery and its impact, chattel slavery and its impact is not something that I have ever internalized. You know what I mean? Like, my people enslaved a lot of white people, okay? That's what they did. It was mostly white people. That's why a lot of people hate fucking Turkish people, and, you know, 4chan levels of racism are always like they've never given up on that, where they're like, oh my God, they were the white people that you would say, fuck you, you know, that sort of shit. So I've never felt this white guilt. I don't know. I genuinely don't know where it comes from, beyond like only trying to understand it from the perspective of like what conservatives are saying. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't get it. Whenever people say that Armenian genocide type beat, I mean, but like, as far as the Armenian genocide goes, I've never said that it didn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, I've always acknowledged it, which is very unique considering my background. Like, I did grow up in the Turkish education system where they do deny it and teach you as it's false, as it's a falsehood. So like, even on that front, I don't feel guilty. You know? It's always weird though when people just fucking go, oh dude, you did that shit. Like, that was you. And I'm going to bring it. And I'm going to also assume that you fucking, you know, have said it's a lie or some shit. You know what I mean? It's like, I've never done that.
You that I want to like help you, but it comes across like I think it can land very poorly.
I'll tell you what, stop it. Stop it. Because what happens is when you put yourself as the white savior, what you do is you elevate yourself above the black person, because you feel then like you have to save us. So just stop it. Just treat everybody regular and normal. Just like I would treat you regular and normal, you treat us regular and normal, rather than trying to save us.
It's so funny that the black conservatives arrived at a classic HasanAbi trope, which is just be normal. I say this a million times a day. I say it quite frequently when we're talking about black issues in this very white audience. I say it all the time. It's true. Just be fucking normal. She's right. That's probably the only right thing that she said so far.
I wanted to bring up earlier about taxes, because you were saying that you had your job and you were talking about how like you get the tax every time and you're like seeing your tax go up. I worked in nursing homes in 2020 COVID. The last thing that was on my mind when I watched 60 and 70-year-olds on their deathbeds suffocating to death was taxes. I was worried about health care. I didn't give a shit about taxes in that time. So when I go to work every day, that's what I see. That's what I want to fix.
I see you once again elevating yourself above the rest of us, and particularly.
Wait, what? What do you mean? He did not do that at all. What the fuck?
At me, a white man elevating himself above a black person.
He called me a bootlicker.
He
called me a bootlicker.
Oh no, I triggered them all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm chilling, buddy.
So what I hope comes out of this conversation.
Wait, what the fuck? Bro, I swear to God, dude. This lady's just insanely insecure. I mean, it's on 2 points. Like she's like a business lady, right? She loves Reagan and stuff. So I think it's she hates him on 2 different accounts. Like one, she perceives him as a liberal, and 2, she perceives him as like a liberal who wants to fucking take more money out of her pocket.
Is that we're all Americans, and because we're all Americans, we know that America has a bunch of problems, and I think every person here wants to solve the problems, and I think everybody is bringing what they have to the table with their ideas on how to get us to unify. This kind of stuff, right? But you got something in there. Hopefully, I mean, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you have something in there that's redeeming about you that would bring.
You cannot convince me the older generations don't have brain damage from leaded gasoline. I 1000% believe that. I mean, it's not a conspiracy.
All of Americans together. So I hope that we end on the note of American.
Like when Ronald Reagan brought crack cocaine in the black neighborhoods, I fucking loved that. That's why I voted for him, and I was like, big fan of that, which was great. And I'm personally, I thought very cool things happened after that.
UNITY.
I would like to say we're all made in the image of God, and so we're all have our inerrant worth just because we're made in his image, and we should treat each other as fellow image bearers, not just by the color of our skin. I mean, as Martin Luther King said.
He also did not like capitalism.
I think something that's really challenging, I've definitely been guilty in the past of throwing around the Uncle Tom word. I used to be hardcore progressive. I'm still relatively progressive. But something that I've learned as time has gone on is being a white person isolates you from a lot of the different types of racial struggles that people go through. And those struggles can take a lot of different forms. Not just, you know, was my ancestor a slave, and not just is my culture bad, but sometimes in the way that, you know, people grow and develop, right? Like, am I actually choosing these political beliefs because they mean something to me, or is it because I'm black or my parents are black? If I speak a certain way, am I betraying my race? If I am a political orientation, am I a bootlicker? And I think that it's important when you're coming from a progressive point of view to understand that even though there are conservatives that are black people, you have to treat them as individuals and not just come at it with this like, you're black.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, there's way more terms that he uses than Uncle Tom regularly, but okay. I love how badly they all want the last word. So cringe. I mean, yeah, Jubilee gave it to him.